Flyers get a 2 on the goalie. In. Sanheim shoots and scores. And the Flyers did it to the again, and the St. Louis Blues again. Erased a 2-goal deficit, get the overtime win. The Blues have now lost 4 of their last 6 games in overtime.
That's what it sounded like last night right here on your home of the Blues 101 ESPN alongside Alex Ferrario. I am Brandon Kiley. We got Grant Francis back in the studio for us today. T-Bone is out. He's taking some well-deserved vacation here on BK, and Ferrario giving himself an extended weekend. Alex, the Blues just can't seem to finish these games.
No.
It's driving me bonkers. They didn't play poorly last night necessarily. Pavel Buchnevich actually had a pretty good game. His line was pretty clearly the best on the ice for the Blues. The goaltending, I thought, generally speaking, was good. Joel Hofer had a massive save in the third period that it felt like, okay, that's the one. You put a pin in that, put a star next to it in the play-by-play. That's the one that ultimately turned the tide for the Blues. And then they go to overtime, and we know how overtime goes for the Blues. They are ineligible to win once you get to an overtime game. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me, but whatever. They had the puck on their stick for like a minute 30, had a fine shot on net with...
At least this time they shot the puck in overtime compared to the last game where they literally just held on to it the whole time.
Took a little while, but you eventually got there. I don't know what to say about them anymore, Alex. Like, it's seemingly just a pass-fail test now, and they keep failing.
Yep.
They're doing enough to, make things interesting, but they get these 2-goal leads, and they still find ways to lose. How do you explain it?
They don't have the killer mentality. And that's how I explain it. You felt it coming in that game. The moment Philly scored that first goal, I looked over to Jordan Deacon, who's our producer for the broadcast, and I said, this isn't going to go well. And it took them in the third period to tie the game, and then the Blues did a good job of not giving up the lead, but they don't have that killer mentality, BK. Like, I referenced this on the pregame on Saturday against Vegas because we were talking about the Blues' inability to hold on to leads, and we all remember that 2014 playoff exit where they couldn't get through the first round, and Doug Armstrong had the famous quote that said, we don't know how to kill off the opponent. Jam the knife in the brain, twist it, and kill the opponent. That's what this team doesn't know how to do. I mean, they've had a 2-goal lead multiple times this season and have the inability to extend that lead. I think the Buffalo Sabres game is the only time that they have moved a 2-goal lead to a 3-goal lead and won. They've moved it to a 3-goal lead a couple of other times, and they've lost those games. Detroit is one of them, and then, of course, the Philly one where you had a 2-goal lead twice. That game... Yes, Philadelphia scored before the end of the second period. The Blues opened up the third and were the better team, but they couldn't get anything past Dan Vladar. And then what did they do? Philly bided their time, then they got the goal in. The overtime one, I think, was even more infuriating because the shot selection. There was no aggressiveness. There was kind of circling around, which most teams do in overtime.
I hate it.
I do too.
They have to change the overtime
It was
rules.
so funny because fans in Philly were booing when the Blues were doing it, but then when Philly had the puck, they did the same thing.
I hate it when both teams do it. I hate it when the Blues do it. I hate it when the opposition does it. I think the way that teams are going about overtime right now, it's completely defeating the purpose of what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be this entertaining, up and down, rush opportunities going both directions. It's become the opposite. It's just both teams waiting, trying to wear down the opposition, and then finally taking a shot and putting it on net.
Yeah.
So it's 5 minutes of 3 shots on goal. It's horrific hockey to watch.
It's boring. But the problem is the Blues... last year, if you go back and look at how they played in overtime, man, it was aggressive. They went off of the rush. They had 2-on-1s. They capitalized. Now they're just kind of waiting. And then the shot selections, I mean, Shen took 2 of them from the top of the faceoff dot. But it's because nobody else is going there. And then the mistake that they made is, once again, puck management, but also not winning battles. Lose the faceoff, goes to the board, flat-footed in your own end, and then you get beat with a 2-on-0. So the way that I can explain this one is it's a group of guys that don't know how to kill off the opponent in hockey games because they had that game by its horns. But at the end of the second period, they let their foot off the gas. Philly scored, and then from there, the Blues couldn't get one past the goalie, and you just felt Philadelphia was coming back.
From the 3-1-4, BK, nobody cares about entertaining. It's about winning. All right, fine. They don't do that either.
That's literally why they changed the rules to make it more entertaining.
Correct.
Because remember, prior to that, it was called a tie, and I don't think anybody was enjoying that one.
The Blues have earned a point in 7 of their last 9 games. The sky is not falling here in St. Louis, but it feels that way.
Yeah.
Because they have recorded a point in 7 of those 9 games, but they've won outright in only 3 of them. So you've recorded a win in just 3 of your last 9 games. And if you go beyond that, I mean, this team at one point was 3-2-0. They are now 6-9-6. So they're 3-7-6 in their last 16 games. They're just not winning hockey games. And I know that is the most bare bones basic of analysis, but if you don't want to hear me say that, let's listen to Jim Montgomery break down the game from last night.
Well, I thought we kept getting quality chances, you know. Seemed like both goalies made a lot of quality saves on both ends of the ice. You know, I thought that we had opportunities to extend the lead not only by 1 more, but probably 2 more. Yeah, I mean, it's we're trying to scrape out 2 points. We haven't been able to. I like our effort. I like the way we're playing hard for each other. We got to find ways to extend leads. We got to find ways to close out games.
I think JR is the one that asked, because he asked Falk this and he asked Montgomery this. You know, how many more gut punches can your team take before it's just like, fine, I give, wave the white flag? And obviously they're not going to do that, but they are with Pittsburgh as the only team to win a game yet in overtime. There's 2 teams that have not won a game in overtime, and Pittsburgh's the other one. The problem is Pittsburgh's actually winning games in regulation, and the Blues are not. I know that the athletic, the professional athlete mindset is, yeah, you're not going to give up. You're going to keep playing because it's their jobs.
Yeah.
But at some point, these gut punches are just going to turn into exactly what it is now, to where you don't even get to overtime. It's the game gets tied up in the 3rd period, and then from there, it's like there's no pulling yourself back into this one. There's not like a special sauce or recipe that pulls them back into it in terms of winning these games in overtime, because they're getting shots. They're really not giving up a whole lot of opportunities, but they're making mistakes still, and the opposition is making them pay for it. So that's the part that's just too difficult to break down. In all reality, what it is, the Blues just don't have that go-getter in overtime that they can rely on.
I think I am where you were with the Cardinals, Alex, where I don't get mad anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Like, these games they frustrate me. They annoy me, especially when they go up by 2 goals and they still find a way to lose. But it doesn't surprise me any longer when they lose. Now it's just acceptance. Like, all right, yeah, this is what they do. They've played 21 games so far this season, and they've lost it 15 times. That can't surprise me any longer. Now I expect going into tomorrow night, the surprise would be if they win. The surprise would be if they come out on the victorious side of things. My expectation going into these games, fair or otherwise, because I think it's justified, is for them to lose. And until something significant changes, that will continue to be my anticipation. This isn't a playoff team.
Yeah.
They don't have a 3rd pair defensively. They don't have a game changer offensively. Thank God the goaltending is better now. It's still not great, but it's better than it was early in the season. It's now like middle of the pack since November 1st. So we're looking at 3 weeks now of them being an average goaltending tandem. You look at what you're scoring, though. I mean, this is their goals for since November 1st. 2-3-1, 3-3-3-5. Got to a shootout, still found a way to lose. That was last Friday in the game that I went to. 1-2-2. Yeah. You're just not scoring, man. This team's not putting the puck in the back of the net. It is the most bare bones basic of breakdowns, but it is true. They don't score enough. Yep. The point of the game is to put up points. They don't score. And until that changes, this is going to be the type of results that you get.
Well, and they're not scoring. Your best players are going in and out of games. Last night, Robert Thomas had 1 shot attempt. That was it. So as great as he was defensively, holding the top line off the board, because that's what their matchup was, didn't generate any offense and didn't put any shots on goal. And if I'm going to say the same thing about Pavel Buchnevich, I'm going to say it about Robert Thomas. It's whack-a-mole with your best players. One guy is in the game, the other 2 may not be. You don't have all 3 at the same time. You don't have 3 lines that are flowing well. And then on the defensive side, you don't have a 3rd pair. And I know it's not the end-all, be-all in that hockey game, but Tyler Tucker was on the ice for the 2 goals scored in regulation. They skipped over both Tucker and Kessel in the 3rd period. Basically, once that 2nd goal went in, you don't have a 3rd pair. And what that means, the trickle-down effect is you're overusing your top 4 guys, probably playing them 26, 27 minutes a night, which is a lot of minutes, which they can handle, still a lot of minutes, and the fatigue factor sets in for those guys in game. So your biggest problem right now is finding ways to score goals and finding ways to consistently have your best players be in action every single night. But it's also the fact that you don't have a third pair. And I don't know where you go from this one, because if Logan Mayhew's name was on the back of Kessel or Tucker's jersey last night, everyone would be screaming from the top of their lungs to get him out of the lineup and put him in the AHL.
He's Alex Ferrario. I'm Brandon Kiley. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. We are broadcasting live at the E&B Granite Studios out at the Centene Community Ice Center. We've got Grant Francis back in the studio for us today. T-Bone out. He'll be back in with us next week. Some extended weekend vacation for him today here on the show. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. You can check us out on YouTube as well at youtube.com/101ESPN-STL. We will get into Ask Us Anything, sports or otherwise, at 11:45 today. So get those questions in between now and then. Coming up next, saw an interesting NFL game last night that left a lot of people saying, that's the team nobody's going to want to play once we get into the playoffs. But who was that team? We'll talk about that next here on 101 ESPN.
Broadcasting live from the Centene Community Ice Center inside the E&B Granite Studios. This is BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN.
I didn't see that one coming.
No?
Maybe I should have.
You talking Blues still? Because I saw that coming.
Because this season has been all about the AFC top contenders failing to live up to expectations with consistency. The Bills have not been the team that anybody thought that they were going to be. The Chiefs certainly haven't lived up to their expectations. And for, I don't know, the first 7 weeks of the season, the Ravens, especially their defense, was an atrocity. Those three teams, Alex, I can't believe this is the case, but here we are a combined 17-14 in the regular season.
Oh.
And last night, the Bills' offense looked like a shell of itself. Ultimately, at the end of the game, Josh Allen was sacked 8 times for 70 negative yards.
Jeez.
He lost 70 yards in sacks last night, Alex. Overall, if you include the sack yardage in his net passing yards, he threw the ball 34 times. He netted 185 yards. That's a horrible performance. Now, I will give credit where it's due. The Texans' defense is amazing.
Yeah.
That defensive line, good Lord. Good luck going up against them. It's a nightmare matchup for basically any quarterback in the NFL. But it's not just about the Texans last night. This was also about the Bills, who have failed to live up to any of their expectations. I haven't talked to Donnie today. I have to imagine he's not thrilled.
I haven't heard from him. Typically, I hear from him at some point during a hockey game. But, yeah, last night had to have been like the clips of atrocity for Donnie.
So, if you guys were wondering, I was able to talk to Donnie earlier today.
Okay, give us
How's
an
he
update.
doing, Grant?
For those curious who don't know what I'm talking about here, Donnie Fandango, midday host over on 105.7 The Point. Also, you can hear him on seemingly every station in the St. Louis market.
WIL.
Donnie is a Bills fan. He is a diehard Blues fan. He does the Last Minute Blues podcast with Alex Ferrario and Jeremy Rutherford. What is the latest? What is the update with our guy, Donnie?
Yeah, so he walked into the studio. There was a lot of yelling. There was a lot of hand movement involved.
Yeah.
Sure.
He's not a very happy person right now. I feel for him.
And that was all based on the Blues, right? Or did he get into the Bills with you?
Well, he started with the Blues, and then he started talking about the Bills, and he's not in a good place right now.
Yeah. Did it seem like you were watching like an episode of unedited of The Sopranos?
I've never seen The Sopranos, Alex. You should know this.
Well, okay, let me just say this. Well, did it feel like you were sitting at a dinner table with a bunch of Italians with no filter?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny.
So the Bills lose last night against the Texans. And, Alex, this is a conversation about the Bills, but I might as well expand it right now because it includes the other two teams too. The Bills, the Chiefs, and the Ravens for, 7 years have been at the top of the conference. There's been no doubt about it ever since that last season of Tom Brady at the top of the conference. It's been those three teams that have dominated because of the quarterbacks. And this year, they're just not there. None of them lead their respective divisions currently. It's the Patriots, the Steelers, the Colts, and the Broncos as the top 4 teams in the AFC in their respective divisions. Are those 3 teams cooked? Or do you still, in your heart of hearts, believe one of those 3 is going to be representing the AFC in the Super Bowl this year?
Oh, no. Those 3 are, in my opinion, man, it's so hard to say cooked in terms of representing the AFC. I think they have a chance. They're significantly better teams than all of them. Here's why I would still hold out hope if I was one fan of one of those teams. Chiefs fan XOXO. People don't know what that means. Check out the YouTube channel. They'll get it when you see
I
PKs.
fixed it.
Damn.
YouTube has switched things up. Now you have a handle in the YouTube comments instead of what was just your name previously. And so my handle was from when I was like 16 years old. It was Chiefs X Fan X88 as I was commenting. I asked the people in the YouTube chat, how do I fix this? So
he was commenting.
One of the tech lords over in the YouTube chat helped me out, and I've fixed that since.
Regardless, why I'm holding out hope is because 2 of those 3 teams have a guy that can just go into God mode once you get into the playoffs in terms of Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. Ravens, yes, I'll say they're cooked. I don't see them representing the AFC even if they were dominant in the regular season. but I don't know if those 3 are going to be in the playoffs. I think 2 of those 3 may get in. 1 is really iffy, and maybe another one falls out of this one. So I don't think this is as clear cut of good luck beating one of these teams in the AFC playoffs this year, because I think the Patriots are significantly better than those 3 teams, and I think the Colts right now are significantly better than those 3 teams.
I saw earlier today, Dan Orlovsky said on First Take, quote, the Texans are the team that nobody in the AFC wants to play.
100% agree.
I think we're going to say that about 7 different teams in the AFC over the next 6 weeks.
Man, but does 7 other teams in the AFC have that type of defense?
No, but do you trust the Texans offense to win 3 consecutive games once we get to the playoffs? Because I don't.
No, but do I trust their defense keeping it a 1-score football game and C.J. Stroud doing something crazy? And if the Chiefs aren't the juggernaut we've seen before, if the Bills aren't the juggernaut we've seen before, I think the Texans could do that to the Colts.
All of this is why I still believe that one of the Bills, the Ravens, or the Chiefs will go to the Super Bowl this year.
Well, let's be honest. One of those 2.
I truly believe that we're going to see the old guard step up. In the regular season, we haven't seen it yet. I have nothing to suggest this based upon what I've seen with my own eyes, what we've all seen so far this year. They have not played up to expectations this year, and I don't know if that's going to happen in the regular season. But I give all of those 3 teams the benefit of the doubt once we get to the playoffs. I'm not going to buy into Bo Nix or Daniel Jones or Aaron Rodgers until I am absolutely forced to do so. You will have me on my deathbed, and I will say those guys are not going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Now, we've seen crazier things happen before. It wouldn't be the first time that we've seen a less than stellar quarterback reach the Super Bowl. I mean, Eli Manning wasn't a great quarterback during the regular season. He was a guy that had a few clutch moments, a great defensive line. Honestly, the Texans are pretty similar to what we saw from the Giants in their Super Bowl seasons. Unbelievable defensive line, couple of clutch plays by the quarterback. Boom, somehow they're representing the, in this case, AFC, previously the NFC in the Super Bowl. That's just the way that it went. And ultimately, Eli won the Super Bowl because of those different factors. I just don't buy it. In this modern day and age where you've got these superhero level quarterbacks in Allen, Mahomes, and Lamar Jackson, I think one of those 3 guys is still going to represent the AFC. Again, I understand how crazy that sounds right now. You have no reason to believe it based upon what we have seen on the football field through the first 11 weeks of the regular season. I still think they're going to do it.
I agree with your sentiment on the Broncos and the Colts because I don't trust those quarterbacks in the playoffs, and until I see it, I'm not going to trust it. Nor do I trust C.J. Stroud. But to Dan Orlovsky's point, the Texans' defense is like going up against a red-hot goaltender in playoffs in hockey because you know that guy's not going to allow much. And even if he allows 1, it's going to be close, and anything wild can happen. I don't trust that offense. If you were to tell me pick one of those 3 teams, though, in terms of Ravens, Chiefs, Bills, who do you believe would most likely to
I'm going to sound like a homer. I still believe the Chiefs.
It's the Chiefs. I don't trust the Ravens regardless. The Bills, I'm sorry. Bills can't keep pulling off this magic trick. You got to go out there and get something for Josh Allen. And I know you said it when we were doing the show prep, this is the weapons he had before. Yes, but if he doesn't have both of his tight ends healthy, if he doesn't have Shakir, and if he doesn't have a running back, you pluck one of those 3 out, gone. And last night I thought was a perfect example. He can get by with a bad defense, but if you're going up against an elite defense, Josh Allen can't keep pulling off the magic tricks. It was a bad game by him, but you know what? I think that guy did everything he could because nobody was spreading the field. Nobody was becoming an option. They had to pull up trick plays to get first downs, and then you're forcing Josh Allen to throw it to one guy, and that's it.
Yeah, I looked at this earlier today. So Ben Solak tweeted this out. Josh Allen's sack rate on 3rd downs since the start of his career. I'm just going to go by season for you. 2018 is a starting point, and then you'll see which ones this year. 10%, 12%, 8%, 6%, 10%, 5%, 4% last season, 15% this year.
Wow.
He's going into hero mode in way too many of these games. It reminds me, honestly, especially seeing the game last night. Do you remember when he played hot potato in the playoffs against the Texans a few years ago?
Yeah.
It reminds me right now, watching Josh Allen, of that version of Josh. And over the last couple of years, I fell in love with watching Josh Allen because he still made these unbelievable plays, but he was eliminating that just boneheadedness.
Yeah.
Where he wasn't trying to make He wasn't trying to hit a home run on every single play. He'd take his singles. He'd take his doubles. And you're like, all right, this is a guy that he's got every throw in his bag, but he's not trying to make something crazy happen on every single play. He seems to understand the flow of the game, what is necessary in any given situation. And it's something that I haven't always been able to say about Lamar, especially when we get into the playoffs, where Lamar's trying to make something happen on every single play.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't know when to just throw it away and live to fight another down. It could be 3rd and 7. He's got the ball at the opposing 35. They're down by 3 points in the fourth quarter. All you need there is a field goal. A field goal is a win. But instead, he takes a sack. It's a 7-yard loss, and now you're out of field goal range. You've got 3rd and 14 or 4th and 14. You can't go for it in that spot. So now you have to punt the ball to the opposition. It's the worst case scenario. Allen hasn't taken those sacks in recent seasons. Now he is. Now he's getting sacked way too often. He's throwing the ball to the opposition way too often. He's fumbling it again. Like, it's just the crazy stuff you would see early in his career is starting to show up on film once again. If he can eliminate some of that, I believe that the Bills can get back to what they were last year. Because as you said, they have the same weapons. I know that it feels like they don't have good weapons out there. Dude, it's the same guys he was throwing to a year ago, but with Josh Palmer added into the mix. So when we get to the end of the season, I still believe people will ultimately look at this and say, all right, so I've got these elite defenses in Denver and in Houston, but they've got a liability at quarterback or offensive line. Quarterback for the Broncos, offensive line for the Texans. I just don't believe in their offenses. I've got this Colts team that they're okay defensively. They've got this elite level offense, but they've got Daniel freaking Jones as their starting quarterback. I've got the Steelers who throw them out of the mix. Let's be real.
Yeah, no, they're not even going to be. I don't even think they're going to be a playoff team.
And I've got the Patriots who are really well coached, have this awesome young quarterback in Drake May, but I don't believe in any of their weapons. Am I really going to trust those teams to beat the Bills, the Ravens, or the Chiefs in consecutive games? I don't.
No.
So right now, it feels good to look at these teams that are surprise contenders, and I think a lot of people are looking for that fresh blood, kind of similar to when it was LeBron versus the Golden State Warriors every year in the playoffs. Everybody wanted to root for the next team. So you would latch on to the Pacers as they were trying to beat LeBron. You would latch on to whoever the new team was that could potentially upset the Warriors in the playoffs, whether it be the Clippers or the Rockets or whoever was going to push them this time around. It never happened. And I think that's what's going to happen this year in the playoffs for the AFC is ultimately it's going to be the exact same teams as it has been for the last 7 years, ultimately representing the AFC in the Super Bowl, even though right now that feels impossible.
If there was one dark horse, though, I would put my money on the Texans, and it's just because of that defense. Like, and it's not just because of the defense. They've got better playmakers in Houston than what Denver has, or than what the Colts. Well, the Colts have great playmakers. I don't think they've got as elite of a defense.
Agreed.
And I've seen C.J. Stroud make magic when everyone's healthy. I haven't seen Daniel Jones do that in the playoffs. I haven't seen Bo Nix do that in the playoffs.
And the game changes.
Yeah.
Like you get to the playoffs. We saw this last year with Sam Darnold. The game changes.
Yep.
Sam Darnold went up against that Rams defense where they had the microscope on him, and they were able to expose all of his weaknesses, all of his flaws. I believe the same will be true once we get to the playoffs and we see whether it be C.J. Stroud or Daniel Jones or Bo Nix. I do not believe that they will make the same kind of plays that we've seen so far during the regular season. I respect the hell out of what they've done. This is not me diminishing anything they've done in the regular season. Those guys have been better than the quarterbacks that we think of as the best in the league. They have performed at a higher level than those guys. Those teams have been better than the teams that I'm talking about winning in the playoffs. I trust the teams that have been there and done it before, that have shown, hey, we get to the playoffs and we can still raise our game another level. I think they will be able to do so once again. Coming up in about 15 minutes, we'll get into Ask Us Anything. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line to get your questions in right now, sports or otherwise. But coming up next, the Cardinals seem to be able to name their price for Brendan Donovan. What's it going to be? We'll talk about it next here on 101 ESPN.
Grant Francis here with a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Another disappointing loss last night for the St. Louis Blues. They had a 2-0 lead in the second period. The Philadelphia Flyers came back to win that game in overtime by a final of 3-2. Blues will look to rebound tomorrow as they continue their road trip out on the island to face the New York Islanders. It'll be a pregame at 1:30 and a puck drop at 2:30 right here on your home for the Blues, 101 ESPN. I'm Grant Francis. The Sports Center update's been driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at Londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
This is BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Broadcasting live from the E&B Granite Studios at the Centene Community Ice Center. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmers Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN.
Some unfortunate news for the Detroit Lions. Head coach Dan Campbell just told reporters that Sam Laporta underwent a back procedure and is unlikely to return this season. Out for the rest of the year.
They might be cooked.
They're 6-4 right now. He is a huge part of what they do offensively. They still have games this year against Green Bay, on the road at the Rams, at the Vikings, and at the Bears. I think they'll make the playoffs, but man, that's the kind of loss that really changes the ceiling for them this season in what is really a stacked NFC. Alongside Alex Ferrario, I'm Brandon Kiley. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Before we get into the Cardinals and what Brendan Donovan's market looks like, Alex, any reaction to that news that Sam Laporta is expected to miss the rest of the regular season?
I mean, I know you said you think they're still going to make the playoffs. Man, I'm a little skeptical of that because they still have an elite offense, but their defense can't do much. And when you lose Laporta, it's not as easy to spread out the wealth on offense. And, you know, I look around, I think the Eagles are obviously a playoff team. I think that makes the Bears a likely playoff team when they play against each other. If you think the Buccaneers are a playoff team, whoever is going to win that division. And then I think the Seahawks, Rams, and Niners might be better than the Lions. I mean, there's a real chance that the Lions fall out of this playoff. But even if they make it, I don't have the same faith in that team being able to go deep into the playoffs like I have in the past. And it's not just all on Laporta, but, man, that's a weapon that spreads the offense. And when you don't have that, now you can isolate the playmakers a little bit better.
Yeah, that Packers game is going to loom large. That could decide it because right now the Packers have the head-to-head tiebreaker over the Detroit Lions. They also have that weird tie, or the tie on the season, which kind of effectively gives them kind of the leg up there right now because they're 6-3-1. Lions are 6-4 on the season. If the Packers win that game head-to-head, they will have the tiebreaker over the Lions. They will also be the half game up because of the tie. They'll be like 2.5 games up on the Lions. And then you look at it, it's them, it's the Seahawks, and then it ultimately comes down to that spot with the 49ers for them to potentially make it in. So it's not an easy road for the Lions to get in. I think I prefer them over the 49ers still, and the 49ers have a tougher division down the stretch. They've still got games this year on the road at Cleveland, but, man, they've played most of their divisional games now. They've only got one game left against Seattle. Ooh, I don't know.
I think
you might have swayed me. This might be
and they're getting healthier
for the Lions.
Like the 49ers are getting their guys back, whereas, I mean, if you're the Lions, you're worried that more can happen with this one. So
tough spot. Yeah. All right, let's get to the Cardinals. John Morosi yesterday was on MLB Network, and he didn't say anything earth-shattering here. It's just a reminder of where things stand for the Cardinals this offseason. They have the trade chip that everybody wants. Take a listen.
The question, Greg, is actually not so much who is in on Donovan, but who is not. Because I talked to a source today who said this man has about as much action in a trade market as any other player in Major League Baseball. Because you think about his bat, he's a great lefty bat. You don't have to pinch hit for him against lefty pitching. He hits good pitching. You see the numbers there on your screen. And he plays above average defense at a majority of positions on a baseball field. As Harold once said, what's not to like? He's tremendous. And that's basically what Donovan brings. Now, a lot of the large market teams love him. The Mets the Yankees. And by the way, the Astros, you guys talked about it earlier on in this segment, they moved Dubon's money to Atlanta. That frees up some room there for what I think is a great need for a left-handed batter.
He's got every team in Major League Baseball after him right now.
Awesome.
Alex, last week I had mentioned Noah Cameron, a starting pitcher for the Kansas City Royals. He's a left-handed pitcher. He's 26 years old. This past season, he had a 2.99 ERA. Does not have big-time swing and miss stuff. He threw 140 innings at the big leagues last year, 7 strikeouts per 9 innings. It is a classic Cardinal starter. A mid-rotation guy, limited upside. You feel pretty good about him giving you innings and being a stable part of your rotation long-term. And last week I said, man, I think that would be a pretty good return for a guy like Brendan Donovan. I've been swayed on this. T-Bone argued the other side. I had then heard from some other smart people that basically said, like, this is classic Cardinals. They're going down the same path that they've been for a decade, and look at where that got them. And I would like to wave the white flag and say, all right, mercy. I give up. I think I've been proven wrong on this one. I agree with some of the detractors who say Noah Cameron would actually be a disappointing return for Brendan Donovan. Yes, it's a controllable starting pitcher. Yes, you probably get a, low 4s ERA out of him, and he could be a nice number 4 starter for you for the foreseeable future. But if I'm going to make the case that that's not been good enough for the Cardinals for the last decade, why would I make the case that the Cardinals should trade a controllable player in Brendan Donovan who is sought after by seemingly the entire league for that? I can't. I shouldn't. Mm-hmm. And I now look at it. I think they should be aiming as high as possible. Aim for the biggest possible upside starter that you can acquire, whether that is somebody that's already at the major leagues or somebody that's still pitching in the Dominican Summer League. I don't care. But get the highest upside player that you can find that is available via trade for Brendan Donovan, pitcher specifically, and try to add that to your system. That should be the goal with this trade. It's just the highest bidder that has the best pitcher available. That's who we want in return.
This is a franchise-altering moment for the Cardinals. Like, they've got the golden ticket in Brendan Donovan. And this isn't Juan Soto, like, who got traded from the Nationals, and they got James Wood and multiple other pieces. But, man, you have a younger player. He's not young, but he's a younger player who's cheap, who is an all-star caliber player and still has multiple years of control, and everybody wants him. So as much as I think Noah Cameron, when you brought him up as a good piece, man, this is a move that you should be aiming for, potentially finding the next star for your team. And it seems odd to say that Brendan Donovan, who is an all-star, but he's not a star, could gain you that, but you're not looking for major league talent right now. If you can go out there, if you find somebody who's willing to give up a major league pitcher who's got 2 upside, then fine by me, because it's a crazy move by the other side. But I'd be looking at what that upside is in terms of talent level, because if you got to wait 2 years for this guy to become the star that you hope he can be, or, if he's 3 years away from being major league ready, is it going to sting right away? Maybe, but man, it's the long play here. And this is so ideal because everybody wants him. It's not all of the bottom teams in Major League Baseball want him. Man, you've got teams that are competing for World Series that want him. You've got teams that are sitting on the outside of the playoffs that think this is our missing piece to be a World Series contender. Those teams typically start bidding with each other. And then you start throwing up outrageous returns out there that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But for those teams that want to win now, it's for the right now. So, yeah, if I'm Heim, I'm kind of sitting back and I'm waiting. I'm waiting to see all of these teams battle against each other, because you want what we've got. Go ahead, try and find it elsewhere. Try and find it in free agency. You're going to come back to this, and the price is going to be the exact same.
That's the thing. There's no Brendan Donovan in free agency.
Yeah.
You can go get Pete Alonso. He brings something of significance to the table. You can go get Kyle Schwarber. He brings real power to the table that Brendan Donovan does not possess. But if you would like to add a piece that opens up every opportunity for you in free agency, if you're the Mets, the Phillies, the Yankees, Dodgers, whomever, there's one of him. He's one of one in Major League Baseball right now. There are a few of them across the league, but he's one of one that's available. And it's pretty similar to what Ben Zobrist once was. I go back to the Royals trade for Ben Zobrist back in the day. In 2015, the Royals gave up a huge return for Ben Zobrist. Yeah. And they got half of a season of him. because they believed Ben Zobrist opens up what at the time was a legitimate World Series contender, and he unlocks the rest of their lineup because he can play second, he can play the outfield, and he did. They ultimately went on to win the World Series because of him. That's what Donnie can do for some of these teams. And when you have that kind of return available to you, like Sean Manaea was the prized prospect that left in return for, at the time, Ben Zobrist. You could get your Sean Manaea. That may not sound like a ton right now, but Manaea was a huge prospect, like a legit top 50 prospect in all of Major League Baseball. So you look at these teams, they shouldn't like sell him for a Noah Cameron, for example. They should be aiming even higher. Somebody on the text line brought up Grayson Rodriguez, who was the trade acquisition by the Angels earlier this week. They gave up a year of Taylor Ward, who's a fine player, don't get me wrong, and he brings some power to the table. Brendan Donovan is 6 times the player, and he has 3 times the club control as Taylor Ward. You're getting something even better than that is more controllable than Grayson Rodriguez.
And this is why, because this is going to be a different comp, but hang with me here for a minute. When the Royals got Cole Reagans by trading away Aroldis Chapman, I know that was for a team that was trying to win the World Series, and you go out there and you get that piece. But what were the Rangers at the time? They were desperate because they wanted to go make the World Series push, and they go out there and they get the missing link. If a team looks at it and says Brendan Donovan is the missing piece that gets us to that level, and we've got him for multiple years, this comes down to Heim and his team evaluating the piece that's coming back in return. And I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, because if this was Mo, I'd be very skeptical about this trade. I'd be thinking that they're going to ruin this one. But man, if the Kansas City Royals can identify a guy that's got star potential in Cole Reagans, then the Cardinals should be able to find that piece and sit there and say, if you want Donovan, you're giving us this piece back.
The text line from the 618, and this will be the last thing on this, said, guys, what would be the better strategy in a trade for Donovan? Is it better to trade him in the offseason or wait till the deadline so you could potentially get even more? I would say that the best way to handle these position players is to trade them in the offseason.
Yeah.
Typically, pitchers, especially relievers, get you more during the season because there are no alternatives. And teams are always able to add pitching to their mix. It's harder to implement a position player at the trade deadline than it is a pitcher. There are also fewer teams that are in need of position players at the deadline because fewer of them get hurt over the regular season, as opposed to pitching, which breaks down. And so every team at the deadline, you can go through, like, look at last year's, go read some of the stories, needs list for teams as they got closer to the trade deadline. Almost every single team in Major League Baseball that was a contender, or viewed itself as such, needed some level of reliever.
Yeah.
Whether it be a setup guy, a closer, whatever it may be. And so it always makes sense, in my opinion, to hold those guys till the deadline if you believe that they'll be healthy. Position players I view differently. I would trade them now as opposed to waiting for the trade deadline. So that's the way I would handle it. I think that they're going to do the same thing. Coming up in about 15 minutes, we're going to talk to our guy Mike McKenna, former NHL goalie, joins us each and every Friday here on the show on behalf of Macadoodles. He's going to help us break down what we saw last night from the Blues, what he saw from Jake Neighbors in his return to the ice for the Blues as well. Mike McKenna in 15 minutes. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. We'll get into Ask Us Anything, sports or otherwise, next here on 101 ESPN.
got questions, we may have the answers. Maybe. It's BK and Ferrario's Questions and Answers on 101 ESPN.
All right, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for Ask Us Anything. If you guys have any questions, sports or otherwise, go ahead and get them in right now on the Air Comfort Service text line. We'll get our questions to Mike McKenna here in about 10 minutes on BK and Ferrario. From the 636, Alex, if Falk keeps playing as well as he did last night, what kind of return do you think the Blues could get for him at this year's trade deadline?
First round pick, maybe.
I don't think second. He's probably pretty similar to like what the Blues gave up for Nick Leddy.
Yeah, but Leddy was a pending free agent, and they'd get one more year of Falk, which if he's playing well, I think another team might think that's a positive. The problem is man, for how much issues they have in their bottom pair right now, I don't know if the Blues are going to move Falk. I mean,
you're out of it.
If you're out of it, maybe, but I think if you're going to move him, you're going to want just a younger defenseman in return that can kind of displace him.
I think you just replace him with Logan Mailloux.
Yeah.
Because you don't care if you win.
Yeah,
if you're moving Justin Falk, the goal is no longer to win.
For sure, but this is the interesting part that I'm going to be fascinated at how Doug Armstrong handles it, because I don't think if this season is a lost season, I don't think they're going to look at it as, well, it's a lost season and we'll just ship everything out. I think they're going to be viewing it as it was a bad season and we're going to be good again next year. And you can move on from, a guy that's not going to be here after the season. But do you move on from a Falk who eats top 4 minutes and you're going to be playing Mailloux? That's the part that I'm going to be fascinated to see how Army handles.
Yeah, I think you would, because it's not just about Logan Mailloux for this year. It's, hey, we can use this cap space to go get another guy that can fill into that spot that fits us for the now and for the future. And then we've got this, second round pick, theoretically speaking, that we could also flip in the offseason if we needed to for another defenseman that we think fits us a little bit better and our timeline. So if they end up getting there, I would say second round pick would kind of be my expectation. The no trade clause fits into that as well. So that would probably be my expectation.
It wouldn't surprise me if they decide to move Falk, if they try and add a piece to Falk to try and get a better return as well. So it's just a matter of depends on what people need, and right-handed defensemen are pretty desirable at the deadline.
From the 636, guys, what's up with the Skinner situation? For those that missed it earlier today, the Blues decided to send Skinner down to the AHL. They did not make any kind of a corresponding move. It's just Skinner down to the AHL. Alex, what's your understanding on this?
So from my understanding with this is they're on the East Coast. Obviously, the Thunderbirds are in Massachusetts, so they viewed this as, look, Skinner's not playing. We want him to go play more hockey games. We're on the East Coast. This is an easy travel for him to get to Springfield, play the game they play tonight, and then decide what you want to do for the rest of this road trip. They're basically in New York from now until Thanksgiving. So my assumption, my guess, my understanding on this is they're going to run with 6 defensemen. They're not taking anybody out of this lineup. They're not bringing anybody else up. There's no need to. Kessel and Tucker are your third pair unless an injury happens. Skinner goes back, plays top pair minutes, and then when they leave New York, then they decide what they choose to do moving forward.
314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for Ask Us Anything from the 314. Alex, why do you think that the Blues will make the playoffs? Give me 3 reasons.
Jim Montgomery would be 1. Goaltending would be 2. And I think if I had to have a third reason, I think this team, we all know, is underperforming to their capabilities. And the Western Conference is still tight. So if you get to your game and you find it fast, you could pull yourself back into this. I'm very skeptical of it, but those would be my reasonings why.
From the 314, guys, do you listen to Christmas music? If so, are you listening to it now or are you waiting until after Thanksgiving? I listen to it occasionally with Luca if he asks for it, but otherwise, I'm a post-Thanksgiving Christmas.
I've always been a post-Thanksgiving Christmas guy. My wife has always been the moment Halloween is over, she's a Christmas gal. We had a marital dispute today because we were planning on going to see Christmas lights soon, and I said, bleep no, and she said, the girls want to go. And I'm like, well,
we're going on Sunday. Sometimes you don't get to...
I don't appreciate it, but I guess I understand it.
Yeah, I mean,
so guess what? I'm going to see Christmas lights
If the kids
soon.
want to do it, Yeah, you lose.
Yep,
like
I'm
there is
going.
no fighting. There is no battle to be won there. You lost the war, much less the battle.
And I always loved doing the decorating and enjoying the Christmas, but it's always been that day after Thanksgiving. It's just how my family's done it, but this is how you break traditions with new family members.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line from the manager, Lou Brown, over on that text line. Guys, I noticed TMA has been quitting consistently on time lately. I find that a bit odd. Did you guys yell at them recently? We did not. They've just been getting out a little earlier.
I think I got Tony. At some point, but you know what? It was out of love. It was out of love to make sure we all get to our show at the right amount of time.
Yeah. So that's the situation.
Kind of yelled.
From the 636, last thing here before we get to Mike McKenna, former NHL goalie, now joins us each Friday on behalf of Macadoodles on BK and Ferrario. What's your guys' favorite Thanksgiving dish?
Ooh. I'm a weird one. We always do Italian food. We made homemade ravioli that we're going to have for it. But if I'm going like traditional Thanksgiving food, it would be green bean casserole.
That's mine.
You gotta have the good fried onions on top, though.
That's my go-to.
Do you do homemade fried onions or you do the canned ones?
We do the canned ones.
Yeah. We tried the homemade ones, and then it was like, this is too much work. So we went back to the canned.
The canned ones are great.
Yeah.
I am a big fan of the green bean casserole. That is my go-to
stuffing as well.
Thanksgiving dish.
Stuffing's...
I also love sweet potatoes in general.
Oh, yeah.
So any kind of a sweet potato dish.
I don't like the sweet potatoes with the marshmallows, though.
They're fine. I'll push them off to the side.
Oh, okay.
It adds a little bit of sweetness to it.
I got to go in the oven, and I got to put salt on them. That's my type of sweet potato.
He's Alex Ferrario. I'm Brandon Kiley. Grant France is back in the studio for us today. It is 12:01. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Coming up next, we're going to be joined by Mike McKenna, former NHL goalie, here on BK and Ferrario.
Going between the pipes with former NHL goaltender Mike McKenna.
Between the Pipes is refreshed by Macadoodle Spirits, fine wine, beer, and cigars. Now open in Darden Prairie.
With Alex Ferrario, I'm Brandon Kiley. Happy to go out to the Callier and Thompson hotline to be joined by our friend, our weekly guest on behalf of Macadoodles, Mike McKenna, former NHL goalie, joining us here on the show. Mike, one of these days, we're going to do a show. You're going to be on with us, and we'll react to a win. It is possible. We just, haven't done that very recently. How you doing today, man?
Man, I'm good. I just don't want to live in a world of negativity. It's tough because it is. It's like, we keep trying to reinvent the wheel, fix the problems, figure out what the Blues can do to be better. And even though there's improvement, they're still just losing, So I don't know, man. I keep holding out hope on this team, but it is definitely a kind of a threshold where you're thinking, can they sustain any long-term success? So let's hope for it. Let's get a big run going so we have some great stuff to talk about.
Did you guys know that we have only talked about one win with Mike McKenna this year?
Oh, God.
Thursday against the Buffalo Sabres, they won 3-0, and then Friday we had that to talk about. Everything else has been losses that we've talked about.
Well, they have recorded a point in 7 of their last 9 games. So if you want to look at the silver lining, I guess that's technically one.
Are you glass half full, or are you glass thrown in the trash because it broke?
Glass or glaff?
What did I say?
Glaff.
Nice.
What happened there?
I don't know, man. It was a long night last night, all right? Mike, take it away.
Guys, here's the thing. Those points in the locker room don't feel good because they're not wins. That's really the hardest part of this. And now you do know, like, deep down, the players realize that the team has been better. They have been better. They've been in every game. That's why they're picking up points over the last couple of weeks. But, for a while, everybody in town's blaming the goaltending. Well, you get an unbelievable performance out of Joel Hofer last night and you blow it. So, like, we're kind of out of, like, runway on blaming individuals here when really what it comes down to is they're just not good enough. Like, I had a coach in Peoria, when I was in the Blues organization, the season I spent there, the lockout year, 2012-13, our coach was named Dave Allison. And Army brought this guy in because the guy's an amazing guy. He's a good coach. He was a great motivator. He was excellent. We loved playing for this guy, Davey Allison. But I'll never forget it. He pulled in one of our teammates. His name is Brent Regner. And Reg is a great guy from Western Canada. He grew up on a cattle ranch, right? He could tell you stories. And he looked at him. Davey Allison looked at Brent the one time because we were playing against the Toronto Marlies in the American League. And the Marlies had like a $2 million payroll to our like $500,000, And we got waxed. He pulls Regs in and he goes, Regs, what'd you think? And Regs is like, I think we're pretty good. We're kind of close. And he goes, Regs, we're just not good enough. He goes, they're just better than us. And it was the most real moment from a coach though I've ever heard, where he was just straight up saying, they're just better than us. Mm-hmm. And like, I kind of get that vibe in a lot of these games right now where, that game against Vegas, guys, like, they were clearly better than the Blues, and losing games by 1 goal to Toronto and Philly, well, congrats. Toronto's a bottom feeder right now, and it's just not there across the board. And we all know it just comes down to the top players aren't doing anything. Like, they're just not right now. It's great that Jake Neighbors is back. That's awesome. But until the top 2 lines start being killers in this league, you're still going to see the team just keep floundering.
So, Mike, with that being said, the story from the coach saying we're just not good enough, and those are intrusive thoughts that fall into my mind about this Blues team right now. I guess the next question I have is, what else can they do? They're not firing a coach. They've scratched a player. They've demoted guys in terms of where they're at in terms of the line shifts. They're really sitting with either you make a trade, which you don't know if that even makes that much of a difference, or you look at the players and say you dig yourself out of it. Is that the only options?
there's 1 month left before drastic things happen, because you're at a point where I don't think Army can look at this team and legitimately think that we've got a contender here in St. Louis. This is, I mean, even in 2019, at this time of the year, you weren't thinking we're going to win the Stanley Cup. You're thinking, who do we sell at the trade deadline? And then magic happened. That magic and that lightning does not strike twice very often. And I really do. I think you've got until the Christmas break to see what this team is and to let them keep trying to work out of it, because, yes, things have been better. They've been a little more direct. But if by that point you're not seeing anything, you're looking at selling. You know, you're looking at Braden Shen and Justin Falk being on the block. You're looking at getting tangible assets once again that you've done previously, you know? So I think it's frustrating from a fan standpoint, but it's probably a pragmatic standpoint for management that this team can be better. They should be better. They are finally starting to get some bounces, but it's just not going. And when does the drastic thing hit? I think by January, that's where the rubber's going to meet the road.
Out of curiosity, if we end up getting there, and we're talking to Mike McKenna, former NHL goalie, he joins us each and every Friday here on BK and Ferrario. If we get to that place, Mike, where we all have to acknowledge this team's not good enough, they need to sell at the trade deadline, get assets in return for some of your tangible NHL players, what does that mean for them in the big picture? Because for right now, like, it's one thing to say that for the 2025-26 season, but this was supposed to be kind of the end of that retool. This was supposed to be the beginning of a competitive window. What does that mean for when that window will open up for the Blues again?
Well, it's still another year or two. I still thought that at the beginning of the season. I didn't think that the Blues were out of the weeds yet. I thought that they were still a team that was going to be bubble-ish, that was going to have to fight for every win that they got. And, you know, you're looking at a year or two again. But you also, if you make a hockey trade, you want to actually get something in return. You know, that's going to be the hard thing for Army to pull off if he does move if you move a Justin Falk or a Braden Shen, those are pick moves. Those are very rarely getting another player in return. Now, you know, with Shen, he's on the backside of his career. We know that. I love the guy. He's an amazing player. He's a phenomenal leader. Anybody that's questioning him as a coach, take a hike, or as a captain, please take a hike. Seriously. I've been in the room with those guys. I've seen it. I've played against the guy. Like, he's absolutely a captain and a good captain. But you're getting picks for him. So I'm okay if Shen goes, because I think you can somewhat replace at least the goal output and the offensive production. I don't know if you can replace the leadership that easy unless Jake Neighbors steps up and does it right away, which I think he's primed to do. But, man, he's going to need some people to fall in behind him and be secondary leaders on this team, because I think that's truly what the team's been missing. It's not your top leader. I think it's that secondary leader. Who's the alpha? Who are the alphas on this team, right? Like, who's got the personality to lead the room? I don't see a lot of that right now.
And you don't just go out and trade for those guys, Mike. You don't go out there and I guess you can sign them via free agency. Anaheim's probably a good example of it right now, of bringing guys in that kind of take over and are alphas in that locker room. But, man, those are rare to happen, because typically that's just natural where guys take it, rather than you try and force a vocal player into a room to ignite everyone else's competitiveness.
Well, and that's where, you know, typically those players are on their backside, though, as well. You know, with Anaheim, Radko Gudas and others, like, they're not young, man. So, like, you really need young players to be able to drive that along. And, I mean, this is where you're never going to get it from Buchnevich. That's not Kyrie's personality. Pia Suter, I don't think it's, like Sundqvist back nine. This firmly falls onto players like Dylan Holloway and, you know, Parayko, who is a big leader on this team. How does Parayko cultivate that from the younger D-core, right? How do you get Philip Broberg to lead? How does Dylan Holloway flank Jake Neighbors in the room to help run it? And how do you get Robert Thomas to take a step in that too? If he's your best player, he's got to be the guy in some ways as well. He's got to take on a big role. So there's not a lot of personality on this club. And I think part of that is, I think it's part of the reason why the team's been down this year.
Mike, final hockey one from me, and then we'll talk Macadoodles with you. But Craig Button had a piece out yesterday where he was talking on his podcast of how the goaltending has been bad for the Blues. And although we look at the numbers and you see it that way, from a goalie's perspective, do you still think the narrative on the Blues is that their goaltending has been bad?
Well, I love Craig. Craig's a very good analyst, but I played the national media game for a long time, and you only get clips. And with goalies, you only see goals against. So it's hard for me to accept that. I will definitely say, though, that there was a span this year where I didn't think Joel Hofer was up to his best self. He was not good. I thought Binnington's pressed it bit at times this year as well. But, like, Hofer in the last couple of weeks has been awesome. And, like, last night, I saw him be further out at the top of his crease. I saw him be assertive with his puck handles. I saw him reacting to shots that he'd been ecstatic on previously this year. My eye test for Hofer and Binnington in the last few weeks has been good. I don't think it's the problem. It hasn't been great over the course of the season, but goaltending is just so tied to defense in front of you. You lose your confidence if that's not great in front of you. So, again, I love Craig, but I think in a limited sample size, you don't see the whole picture when it comes to goalies. And what I've seen lately, I've liked.
We're on the same page with you there. We'll talk about that coming up in just a little bit here on BK and Ferrario. Mike, we appreciate the time as always, man. I know next week is Thanksgiving. It's a big week for a lot of people to grab, whether it's some wine, some liquor, definitely some beer for the family to enjoy as everybody comes together. What can they expect as they walk through the doors out at Macadoodles over the next few days?
Well, we keep getting in all the holiday beer. If that's your thing, if craft beer is your thing, we got it. We've got every holiday beer you could imagine with all the cute little logos and snowflakes and all the rest. You know what I mean?
Out.
Yeah, he's mouth-watering over there. Wine department, same way. We've got a ton of holiday wines out. We've got German and Italian specialty Christmas lines. We've got the glue wines out that are meant to be served warm, the specialty stuff that you can't get at grocery stores or anywhere. We have that stuff. What we're dropping today, though, we got a Penelope barrel picking last week. You guys got to try it. It's still a little bit left on the shelf. You better hurry. It's not going to last long. But if listeners are out right now and they're on Bryan Road out here in Dardenne Prairie or anywhere close, I'm dropping this. Okay, I got a couple bottles of Penelope Valencia, a couple bottles of Penelope Rio. Come in the store today. You buy any Penelope product, you can take those home at MSRP. Okay, so I got a couple bundles out there. And here's the kicker. This is the fun one. The first person to walk into Macadoodles, ring the bell, and say the word Spumoni out loud so everyone can hear, can take home a bottle of E.H. Taylor for MSRP. So
wow.
Get your button gear, get your Will Ferrell game face on, walk in the door. There's no bears in here like semi-pro, but ring that bell and yell Spumoni, and you can take home an E.H. Taylor small batch and have a great old holiday.
Alex is going to do the rest of the show on his own. Yeah. I will see you out there at Macadoodles.
Spumoni.
Mike, enjoy the weekend, man. Have a happy Thanksgiving. We'll talk with you again soon, my friend.
Sounds good. Go Blues. Come on, let's get some wins this week, please.
Fingers crossed. That'd be fantastic. He's Mike McKenna, former NHL goalie. Check him out over at Macadoodles. Go over there. Get that E.H. Taylor at MSRP. That is not something you see very often. So go over there. Hang out with Mike McKenna. Check out all that they have to offer at Macadoodles. Coming up next, Alex, we've got some updates on this this coaching cycle.
Oh, goody. Good. More updates. Oh, you're not feeling too hot?
Hold on to your butts, Mizzou fans. We'll talk about it next year on 101 ESPN.
Setter inside the ENB Granite Studios. This is BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmers Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN.
We've got some updates to talk about. Man, I'm ready for the coaching carousel to end. And technically, Alex, it hasn't officially begun for Mizzou.
Are being held.
Alongside Alex Ferrario, I'm Brandon Kiley. So there's an update from Gabe DeArmond over on PowerMizzou.com. I don't want to give all of it away, but basically, there's a flight going to Columbia right now. It's the same one that went to Oxford, that picked up Lane Kiffin's family and took them back to LSU to show them around Baton Rouge.
Man, what a prolific
Why is it
plane.
coming to Columbia? Why is it expected to land and only be in Columbia for 20 minutes? And why is it happening at roughly the same time as Mizzou is expected to be at the Columbia airport to depart with all the boosters, coaching staff, administration, everybody, to go to Norman later on today? Nobody knows. That seems like really awkward timing if this is like Drinkwitz meeting with the LSU officials at the same time that his team is preparing to board to go to Oklahoma.
Total happenstance.
So I'm skeptical if that is the case. However, it does need to be mentioned. I think I mentioned this on the show yesterday. Man, the guy that I think is the most trusted reporter when it comes to what's taking place at LSU, Matt Moscano. He does radio down at down in Baton Rouge. He said yesterday, Drinkwitz is very much in play if LSU misses on Lane Kiffin. It seems like he is their backup plan to Lane Kiffin right now. I don't know if he's the number one choice as the backup plan, but he's definitely among those options, according to reports that are out there. There is also somebody that is very plugged in, who is a reporter on the Ole Miss side of things, but he previously was an assistant coach all across the South, including on the Alabama staff, where I believe he coached with Lane Kiffin previously. Now, again, he reports on Ole Miss. He does a bunch of stuff for their podcasting network. He said earlier today on TikTok Live, it is his belief that Lane Kiffin is strongly leaning toward taking the LSU job.
Ooh.
If you are a Mizzou fan who wants Eli Drinkwitz to stay, you should be rooting like hell for Lane Kiffin to take that job.
Why is that, BK?
Because that is one that I don't think Drinkwitz can say no to. I can't tell him in good faith, you should decline that job.
And that is just because of the prolific
I think Drinkwitz would win a national championship if he takes the job at LSU.
He's getting everything he needs there. You're getting the boosters. You're getting the money.
The only coach this millennium to not win a national championship who was hired at LSU was Brian Kelly.
Oh.
No other coach that they hired failed to reach and win a national championship.
Yeah. I mean, if Ed Ogeron can win that national championship.
The kind of resources that you have there, the recruiting ability that you have at a place like LSU is almost unparalleled. It means so much to that state that LSU matters. I mean, their governor, you saw how involved he was in the whole Brian Kelly situation, right? And like we made a joke of it for good reason. It's ridiculous that a governor would be that involved in a coach's firing.
Yeah, when you say the president's going to make the decision, you know things are getting wild.
But it also speaks to how much it matters to his constituents that he got involved. Like, it was probably a pretty popular political stance for him to take. We got to get this guy out of here. It probably had like a 90% approval rating, and there's no other issue that he could touch that would have a 90% approval rating. So, yeah, that's a job you can't decline if you're Eli Drinkwitz. It's also why, if you're him, you shouldn't be signing anything. Because if you think that there's a 10% chance that LSU will offer you that job, dude, I can't prevent myself from having that opportunity.
Yeah.
Maybe you can find a way to say no to Penn State. You can say no to Auburn. You can say no to Florida, because these jobs, while very good, are not the creme de la creme. LSU is. LSU's that good. So I think you should be rooting for later on today, as Lane Kiffin is expected to meet with the athletic director at Ole Miss. You should be rooting for something to come out of that meeting that says Kiffin is expected to take the LSU job. I don't know what that means big picture wise. I don't know what that means for Drink potentially at Auburn or Florida or Penn State, but it sure sounds like he would be at or near the top of the list for LSU, a job that I don't think he can decline if Kiffin decides to decline it and stay at Ole Miss, or declines LSU and goes to Florida.
So that's what I was going to ask next, because let's go down the path that Lane Kiffin says, I'm going to LSU. Ole Miss opens up. Is Ole Miss that option then for Drink? Or like, where do these other options fall into the same tier category as Mizzou?
So that's the thing. I think Ole Miss may be a slightly better job than Mizzou. Here's the problem. I would not want to be the coach that replaces Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin has like a 100% approval rating at Ole Miss right now. He has taken that job from good to excellent. And that program right now is top 15 in the country over the last 3 to 5 years under Lane Kiffin. He's a really likable dude. People there have completely bought into the way that he goes about things. And if Drinkwitz were to take that job, for a lot of fans, he would just be a lesser version of Lane Kiffin. So that's not, in my opinion, the job that I would take if I'm him. If you want to go to Auburn, you're replacing a dude that everybody hated. Okay, that one makes some sense. You want to go to Penn State? Again, I'm not sure on that one, because the expectation there is you have to win the big games. That's the only thing our last guy didn't do. You can't just win all of the games that you're supposed to. That's what James Franklin did. We fired him because he couldn't get over the top. So it's a tough bar to clear, but if you clear it, you're a legend, right? And so there's at least an appeal there. Florida, I don't think wants him. There was a report that came out yesterday. Their administration looked into Eli Drinkwitz. They vetted him, and they have decided that's not a candidate for us here at the University of Florida. I think, Alex, so I had to read between the lines, it's because of all of the backlash that they got from social media. Now, is that a good way to run a coaching search? I think no. I think it's a terrible way to run your coaching search, but it seems like they're more interested in other candidates than Eli Drinkwitz. So you could probably cross them off of the list. It, to me, comes down to LSU would be the tier 1 job that's available right now. Tier 2 is, I think, just Penn State, because it's one of the 3 to 5 best jobs in the Big Ten, and then there's a big drop-off from them. Tier 3 would be Florida, Auburn, Ole Miss, and Mizzou. I think they're all kind of in similar spots. If I'm Drink, I wouldn't leave Mizzou for one of those jobs, personally.
You got it pretty good.
Sure, he could technically, but I would absolutely not leave for Ole Miss. I don't think Florida's an option for him right now. So it's really LSU tier 1, Penn State tier 2, and then he was technically on the staff at Auburn when they won their national championship. Maybe there's some kind of like, I could build it back into what it once was feeling for him. I suppose that's possible. So maybe the tier 3 job would be Auburn, and that would be kind of a last resort.
And I feel like if you're talking Auburn, then you stay where you're at Mizzou, because yes, he was there. Yes, you were part of the national championship, but we've talked a lot about this. He's got it made at Mizzou in terms of everybody basically is keying in on him. Now, I know he's been making his round saying we need more money and more Fortune 500s that step in, but Auburn feels kind of like a lateral move to where these other two, I mean, they're clear cut. Because I saw somebody on YouTube say, well, why would he just out and immediately go to LSU? And I asked you the same question. I mean, LSU is one of the premier names in college football, and he's been saying like, we need more money, we need more from. Well, you get everything at LSU. You get the ability to recruit. You get, and we already know how great of a recruiter he is in for Mizzou. You're getting all of the money that goes towards. Hell, you get the mayor coming out talking about LSU. So that makes a lot of sense. Penn State would be the next one, and then the Auburn one, it just kind of feels lateral to me, where it's like if it's Auburn or Mizzou, I think I'd just stay where I'm at and continue with the success.
Since 2000. LSU has finished ranked in the top 10 in the following seasons: 2001, 2003, 2005, 2006, 2007, 2010, 2011, 2018, 2019. That's 9 times since 2000 that LSU has finished in the top 10. They did so under Ed Orgeron, Les Miles, Nick Saban. They've done it under 3 different coaches. So it's different coaches, it's different program situations. Like you go back before then, they finished in the top 10 in 87, 86, 1970, 1969, 1965. Like this program, the history of it is such that it's on a different level than Mizzou. It's on a different level than Auburn. It's on a different level than even Florida. Florida's a place where like basically 2 coaches have had success in the last 50 years.
You also have a short leash at LSU too. Because if you don't have success immediately, you fall into the Brian Kelly conversation.
Kind of, but like Kelly's leash wasn't that short. He got 4 years and he wasn't able to get it done. You know, and at LSU, if you lose 4+ games, it's unacceptable because you shouldn't lose 4+ games there. Like, looking back at what they have done, again, since 2000, the following seasons are the only times where they have lost more than 4 games. You ready? 2002, 2008, 2014, 2020 COVID season. Throw that out. 2021 end of list.
Wow.
So, like, yes, there is a short leash if you fall into that category. Almost nobody does. So it's not as though these coaches are getting fired for the most part in a couple of years. There were controversies surrounding Ed Orgeron. There were controversies surrounding Les Miles, and Les had from 2005 to 2016. It wasn't like he had a short term there. Nick Saban left for the NFL. Those are their coaches since 2001.
Yeah.
This is a job you cannot decline. I think Kiffin should accept it. The only thing that's preventing me from saying he absolutely should is the fact that he is currently coaching a team that is expected to get into the college football playoff. If his team wasn't going to get into the playoff this year, you have to take this job. It's crazy not to. There are like 5 jobs in the country that I would see as being better than LSU. It's that good, man. Even though there's some craziness you have to deal with, that's the job.
Yeah.
It's that, Texas, like USC to a degree. I don't think it's the same job as it once was because it's no longer in the Pac-12. Ohio State. Like that might be it. That might be the list. That's the premier jobs in America. You could argue Michigan if you wanted to. I mean, it's a very short list of programs that LSU is on with. Maybe if you want to throw Bama in there, but Bama went through a much longer stretch of time where they weren't good, whereas LSU never goes through that.
It's wild how Lane Kiffin has the entire Mizzou fan base right in the palm of his hands. All he needs to do is accept the job or say, I'm not going. And that really just, that changes the outcome of what takes place for Mizzou. And all of these plane reroutes and landings in different places has led to this, where it comes down to 2 meetings today.
YouTube.com/101 ESPN STL is where you can go for the graveyard chat from Gateway Sports. BK is scared to death that Drinkwitz may leave. Yeah, I am.
I would be too.
And the reason why is because I think people undersell just how good of a job that Eli Drinkwitz has done at Mizzou. He has done a fantastic job of building up this program to a place where it matters in St. Louis. Man, I've been here now for a decade. The first 6 years, Mizzou was an afterthought for most people. It now matters to the point where we talk about it regularly. I've always loved Mizzou. It's my alma mater. I love this program. I want them to have success. But our job is to talk about the things that you guys care about. And for the first 5 years or so, we've done a lot of research on it. It was not smart for us to spend much time talking about Mizzou, because it wasn't one of the topics that rated well here in St. Louis. That has changed. Mizzou now has a foothold in this market in a way that it never did previously. Drinkwitz built that, man. Drinkwitz is the one that has sold his program to many that did not previously care about it. Now, there are other factors in this. The college football playoff has made it more accessible for a lot of people, where a place like Mizzou, you can dream on them accomplishing something that wasn't attainable 5 years ago. But Drinkwitz building the program to where it is today is a big part of that. So, yeah, I'm terrified of this guy leaving the job. I don't want him to, because I like when Missouri is relevant. I want to continue to talk about them here on the station.
Yeah, anybody who isn't afraid, just think back to what those years were at post Gary Pinkel when they were going through the Barry Odom. Like, it was, as BK mentioned, irrelevant. But it wasn't just the play was irrelevant. The recruiting was irrelevant. Every time you saw a big name, you're like, Mizzou doesn't have a chance. And now in the portal, where these guys are moving left and right, and if you don't have somebody who can find a way to pull those talented players in, then you're upstream without a paddle, and that's not a good place to be.
In 10 minutes, we'll get into the junk drawer, but next, what would an offseason trade deadline do for Major League Baseball? Would that be something that helps them? We'll talk about it next year on 101 ESPN.
Grant Francis here with a SportsCenter update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Another disappointing loss for the St. Louis Blues last night. They had a 2-0 lead in the second period. The Flyers stormed back to send this one to overtime, where Travis Sanheim converted for the Flyers, and they skated home with a victory 3-2 over the St. Louis Blues. They'll look to rebound tomorrow in New York as they take on the New York Islanders. That pregame will start at 1:30. Puck drop at 2:30 here on your home for the Blues, 101 ESPN. And some other Blues news. Earlier today, the Blues has signed defenseman Hunter Skinner to the AHL in Springfield. I'm Grant Francis. The SportsCenter update's been brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Alongside Alex Ferrario, I'm Brandon Kiley. T-Bone out today. We've got Grant Francis back in the studio. We're broadcasting live at the E&B Granite Studios out at the Centene Community Ice Center. And Alex, yesterday I was listening to the Cardinal Territory. Lance Lynn is part of that podcast now. Does a really good job. Him, Kyle Gibson, Matt Holliday, and the cat Jim Hayes all doing that podcast now. Lance Lynn made a recommendation that I don't think I've heard previously. I've heard somebody mention, hey, have a deadline for free agency. Lynn brought up something different. I like the idea. Take a listen. We'll see if we can get that audio here momentarily. Grant, I think it's in today's audio folder. Lance Lynn on the offseason, potentially adding something new to the calendar.
They need to do a trade deadline in the winter. I think that will really speed up. I think last year the trade deadline they were talking about Cease and a couple other guys holding up markets because they didn't know who was going to get traded, and then markets don't move. So I think to speed up maybe a free agent situation, put a trade deadline in the wintertime, because once you're on a team and all that, it's, hey, let's say after January 15th, you're with that team until, April, they can't trade you till April 30th or something. Like, maybe put a little window there that might help some things out.
I love the idea, Alex. Mm-hmm. Now, there are a few important dates throughout the offseason for Major League Baseball. You've got the GM meetings. You've got the winter meetings, which are coming up in the first weekend of December. You've got the draft lottery there. You've got the Rule 5 draft at the end of it. And then the arbitration filing deadline is January 9th. So that is when teams get to decide, are we extending or are we tendering this guy a contract? Are we going to arbitration against them? What's the plan here? I almost feel like you could use that date as the trade deadline for the offseason, or January 9th, if you have not made a trade by 2 o'clock on that day, similar to, August 1st during the regular season, you have a trade freeze between January 9th and the start of the regular season. So for those 2 months, basically, there is no movement across Major League Baseball trade-wise. You can still sign free agents, but you cannot trade any longer. If you wanted to go even further back, if you wanted to say, hey, the end of the winter meetings to create like this chaos prior to Christmas, sure, I'm fine with that too. That means by mid-December, trades are finished, and then the only thing that takes place between mid-December and the start of the regular season is free agency. Mm-hmm. I think it would push some of these markets ahead, because like right now, if you're potentially going to sign one of these free agent starters, are you going and exploring that option first, or are you looking at the trade market where maybe Hunter Green becomes available? Maybe you circle back on Mackenzie Gore. Maybe you want to add Sonny Gray because he makes more sense on a 1-year deal than signing Dylan Cease on a 7-year deal, whatever it may be. I think it would just add more certainty to the market. I never think that they will add a free agent deadline because it artificially puts pressure on players. So I don't know that it would make sense for the players to agree to that in the next CBA unless they were getting something of significance in return. And I don't think owners are going to want it enough to where they give up something for it. A trade deadline in the offseason, though, I think players would be in favor of that. I think GMs would be in favor of that. In fact, I don't know who would be opposed to something like that in the offseason. It would also generate more interest between the end of the regular season and the start of like the Christmas season as well. I think it would make all the sense in the world. I hadn't seen it proposed previously, and credit to Lance Lynn for making me think about it for the first time.
You got to make teams make roster moves faster, because this whole sitting and waiting until the first pin to drop and then everything else happens, it gets annoying when we're talking about January 3rd and nothing has taken place, but yet all of the rumors are out there saying that this guy's available. I think I would make it shorter. I think I would say at the end of those winter meetings, that's when the deadline is. The moment that all of those GMs leave Vegas or wherever they're at for the winter meetings, your deadline's done, because you've had this entire offseason from the end of the playoffs until now, and you were all together in the same room. You guys were all together for what, an entire week? Get the deals done, and if it's not done, then you just missed out. And typically,
it also creates an event, right?
Yeah.
While you guys are all together, the
Totally.
media is there, everybody.
Reporters.
Like, baseball becomes a centralized event. It's right after the college football season. College basketball really hasn't kicked into high gear yet. You're not into the NFL playoffs yet. Like, baseball could have a moment where they become the biggest story in the sports calendar
and
in mid-December.
And then the moment you leave from there, your roster is in place. You've got it. January 9th is that arbitration. Well, guess what? The big trades that I've made, or the pieces that I've traded away, I've got that. And now I fill the void of the rest of my team for free agents. And most of the time, those free agencies, they don't want to sign until after the holidays. They can sort everything out, spend time. But at least the roster's in place. The conversations have started, so that on January 2nd, 1st, whatever, now you get the free agents going. And now you've dominated December, you've dominated January, and you've created movement. And these free agents don't sit around and are left without a job at the end of the offseason and then get signed a week before spring training, come into it late, and then jack up their entire season. It gets it all done.
The only thing that bothers me is that I didn't come up with this first, but Lance Lynn had a great idea here.
Well, Lance, unfortunately, has been the guy probably that sat around pretty long into free agency and was like, what is this? Can we just make a trade?
Or he's waiting in the offseason like, I'm going to get traded either now or by the time that we get to the next year's trade deadline.
Trade me.
So I think it's brilliant. I hadn't heard it previously. I think it's something that baseball should absolutely implement in the next CBA. I think it would promote the offseason more, and it becomes an event for Major League Baseball, which is something like they have this at the trade deadline. Yeah. Trade deadline during the regular season in baseball is as big as it is in any other sport. I think maybe basketball would be the only other one that lives up to anything approaching what baseball is typically at the deadline. This would provide another date which promotes some kind of movement in a sport that desperately needs that to create urgency. All right, coming up here in about 10 minutes or so, goaltending was absolutely an issue for the Blues early on in the season, but one national analyst says it is the single biggest issue for them still. Do we agree with that sentiment? We'll get into that in 10 minutes. The Junk Drawer is next here on 101 ESPN.
Open it up. The Junk Drawer with BK and Ferrario.
Alex, you know that I get nervous whenever I get on a plane.
Get on a plane, look at a plane, hear a plane.
Apparently now I'm going to have to be nervous as I'm driving of objects falling from the sky.
What?
Allow me to explain.
I mean,
the
I'm-
Charlotte Observer has this in their newspaper today. The headline: Eagle drops cat, sending it through the windshield into the car's back seat, North Carolina cops say.
God.
I'll go ahead and read this for you.
I don't think you need to, man.
A woman on her way to work at a bank was left in disbelief when a cat fell out of the sky, crashed through her windshield, and shot through the car, according to the North Carolina Highway Patrol. The cat, which unfortunately did not survive, came to a stop when it hit the back window of the vehicle. This happened around 8:15 in the morning on Wednesday. The driver was not injured. Witnesses report that the adult-sized cat was seen fighting in the air with a bald eagle just before it fell, according to reports from the troopers. The vehicle was going at roughly 55 miles an hour when the cat made impact, and a photo shows that it punched out nearly half of the windshield on the passenger side. The car had to be towed from the scene. The driver instead got a ride to work. As for the eagle, it left before authorities arrived.
Oh, God.
So now I got to worry as I'm driving through the Appalachian Mountains.
The cats are going to
about a potential cat falling from the sky.
It literally could be raining cats and dogs out while you're driving around. I've always been, because we've always had little dogs. We had Shih Tzus, and then our first dog that we had, Katie and I, was a Shorkie, and now we have a Shorkie Poo. So, they're tiny dogs.
Yeah, I've got a 10-pound Maltese Shih Tzu mix.
We've got hawks that fly in our backyard, and I can't tell you the amount of times that I've been worried that a hawk is going to pick up my dog and, fly away with it. I'll also never forget of something going through the windshield. This was when I was broadcasting at Lindenwood. We were on a basketball trip. We were in a bus. I have pictures of this. I'll have to post it on social media. We were driving. I don't even know where I think we were going Kearney, Nebraska or something. And we're all sleeping. And all of a sudden we hear the loudest bash that you could ever hear. Glass goes flying everywhere. We look out the front of the windshield. A turkey had gone through the windshield.
Oh my God.
I didn't know turkeys could fly. Apparently they can.
Yeah.
And went boom. Right into it. So this guy, this bus driver, had a turkey with its head coming through the glass of the bus, and he had to veer off to the side of the road, stop the vehicle, push the turkey's head out, and the turkey was still freaking alive after all of that.
Oh my God.
It was the wildest. I have pictures of this turkey's head through the windshield. So yeah, I would say you probably do need to be worried about things flying through the sky.
Lisa over on the text line said, this is like the movie Proposal. That, first of all, one of the more underrated comedies of the last 15, 20 years. Second of all, that's exactly what this is. So if you've got a small dog, cat at home, be sure to be careful. Make sure if you're driving into work today, also be careful.
Make sure it doesn't come through BK's windshield.
Alongside Alex Ferrario, I'm Brandon Kiley. Coming up next, the goaltending was absolutely an issue for the Blues early on this season. Is it still their biggest issue, though? At least one national analyst seems to believe so. We'll give you our thoughts on the matter coming up next here on BK and Ferrario.
and Ferrario are broadcasting live from the E&B Granite Studios at the Centene Community Ice Center, presented by Bud Light and Skimmers Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN.
It's 106. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. According to Matt Zenitz of CBS Sports, the current expectation is Bo Pribula will start for Mizzou tomorrow against Oklahoma. Did it change your expectations for Mizzou in that game at all, Alex?
No, not really, because I don't know if Pribula really impressed me as much that we've seen in this type of matchup. Maybe he's an upgrade slightly over Zollers, but let's also remember he's not going to be 100%. Like, he's coming back from an injury that we all thought he was done for the year, and he's finding a way to push through it, which credit to him to go out there with that toughness to play. But I don't think it's going to be Bo Pribula from week one of the season. So does it change my hope? Yeah, maybe slightly, because you have an upgrade at quarterback, but I still think this defense is going to be a pain, and I still think it's going to fall onto the quarterback making big plays.
Yeah, it changes things for me a bit. I think you at least have a chance now. I still expect Oklahoma to win this game. I picked Oklahoma yesterday as part of our Pick'em Challenge. I have them as my 3-point play. I think they will win. I think they will cover. That being said, I think Mizzou had no chance at all if Matt Zollers was the plan at quarterback tomorrow. This at least has the potential to make it more interesting, because I think Bo Pribula can navigate the pocket a little better than what Zollers potentially would have. It also adds a bit of a running element that Zollers just didn't have, at least not thus far. I think he's athletic, but he just wasn't much of a runner. So I think it will give Mizzou a chance in this game. I just still don't think that they will ultimately win it. Before we get to the blue side of things, Alex, if Mizzou wins this game, would it qualify, in your opinion, as a signature victory for Eli Drinkwitz? Because everything about the game says it should. It's a top 10 program on the road. These are the kinds of games that Mizzou almost never wins. In the last 20 years, the only one that they've had is 2013 on the road at Georgia, where they're playing against top 10 opponent, they win. But the season's basically over. We all know that to be true. They're not getting to the college football playoff this year, so it's kind of an afterthought almost. It feels as though the game is secondary once again to the coaching search news that's taking place. So if Drinkwitz were to win tomorrow and pick up a huge win, does it qualify as a signature victory in your opinion?
Hell yes, it does. And anybody that says differently is crazy. I mean, I don't care that they don't have a shot at the college football. I mean, I care that they don't have a shot at the college football playoffs, but that doesn't negate how big of a win this would be. You are the severely underestimated team in this one. And if you go out there and win in Oklahoma against this team, really hurt. Not that it's going to kick Oklahoma out of the playoff conversation, but you really hurt their chances. They're not going to be the top dog like they are going into this one. Anytime you take down a top 10 team, I don't care what you say in terms of they made the playoffs or they didn't make the playoffs. That's a statement win and a resume win by a head coach, and you celebrate that.
I'm totally with you. If you win this game, you have not won in Norman. I mean, Mizzou and Oklahoma played regularly for like almost 100 years. The last time that Mizzou won in Norman, Oklahoma was nearly 60 years ago.
Jeez.
This is not the kind of game that Mizzou typically wins. So if they win this one, I think it should be viewed as a signature victory. And I hope people don't push back on it, because there have been others that you could look back on. Like the Tennessee game is the one that I always point to. They were top 15 team in the country. They didn't just win that game. They dominated against the Volunteers in 2023. But Tennessee ended up with 4 losses that season. And so people don't remember it as a true signature victory because of what they became. Ohio State is another one that some people will point to. I agree with the detractors there. That wasn't the Ohio State team that we saw all season long. A lot of their starters were not playing. This one, I hope that there are not detractors. I hope that there are not people that say, yeah, but no, this is the kind of signature victory that Drinkwitz is currently lacking for some on his resume. Also, some Blues news here. According to the team, the Blues have assigned Alexander Texier to their AHL affiliate, the Springfield Thunderbirds. Alex, there had been some talk of them potentially terminating his contract, Texier potentially terminating his contract and going to play elsewhere to explore opportunities across the NHL. It appears that will not be the case. Texier has accepted his assignment according to the team and will report to the Springfield Thunderbirds.
Yeah, good for him. I don't know if we ever see him again up here, but if anything, you get to go to the AHL and dominate and hopefully get some confidence. Jim Montgomery said he just never could find the consistency at the NHL level. He had some of it last year, couldn't stay healthy. So, maybe you get to go down there and you can fight for some consistency, be the best player, and you never know. Maybe you get a call up at some point once again. I'm a little surprised he wasn't claimed for $2.1 million for having with injuries. Somebody like Montreal would have claimed him to put the line, but he goes down, and you know what? If he plays well, gets called back up, maybe he becomes a trade asset for the Blues if things go poorly.
All right, thing that we wanted to get to. Yesterday, we both saw the clip. Our guy, Craig Button, one favorite guest to have on. He's going to join us on Monday here on the show. He does how he sees it. He said the biggest issue for the Blues this year. Said it's not just look at it like it's the times in the past. Jordan Binnington does this. He's not good this year. He has not in the past. And Joel Hofer, good to start out the season either. There was a point in time when I would have said there are no excuses. The goaltending good enough for the Blues to overcome mistakes. No longer feel that way, Alex. Since up earlier today, Blues are average when it comes to their goaltending. They're not good. They're also not terrible. They fine. Last night, Joel Hofer was good. Blues.
End of the year, I'm making the biggest saves that they need to. But as Mike McKenna told us, there's that because a lot of plays are being made that should be killed that your goaltender can see. There are times that they may not make the save that you need to, but man, they've got so many more issues in terms of defending the play, making sure that odd man aren't there, and defending the middles. Like last night, for a perfect example, 3 goals go in past Joel Hofer. One of them is a 2-on-0 rush and over.
Broadcasting live from the Centene Community Ice Center inside the ENB Granite Studios. This is BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmers Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN.
All right, let's dive into our NFL weekend look ahead alongside Al Hiley. We've got Grant Francis back in the studio for us today. You can check us out on YouTube always at youtube.com/101ESPN STL. Alex, it's a pretty intriguing week in the NFL. Not too shabby when it comes to some of the games on this weekend slate. If you could only sit down and watch one game on Sunday, what would it be?
It's an easy one, buddy. It's the Chiefs and Colts.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, this is a make or break game for the Chiefs. If you lose this one, it's going to be even more battle to be in the playoffs. And I think these two are evenly matched up. Their defense for the Chiefs is not in well at watch matchup this year.
Grant, we're going to try
I'm going to disconnect Grant
out here, try to get some better audio here on BK and Ferrario on the video side of things. I think Paul, when it comes to the game of the week, Colts versus the Chiefs, to me, is the best game.
Yeah.
It is also the most meaningful game with the biggest stakes. So, to me, that's the one that I would have the most interest in watching on Sunday. We'll get into that more here in just a moment. But if you're looking to something else, another big game going into this weekend that is on the slate, I'll go Bucs versus Rams.
That was the other one. That one, and then the Bears and Steelers were the other one that I was looking at.
Bucs versus Rams is a really intriguing game. I fight doing the same thing that we're seeing. Where once I looked at them and I said, maybe I didn't come into the doing them as a legitimate contender, but man, look at this offense. It's fun as hell. Well, lately I haven't been able to say that about them. The offense is some rough in their season. The only win they've had, it's ugly for them right now. Potential to go 1-4 the Rams, and I think going to lose this game at the Rams. In fact, I think the Rams are going to win this game big.
Yeah, well, and that's the only hesitancy of it being entertaining for me. As good as Baker Mayfield has been, they still don't have their weapons. It sounds like Godwin could potentially come back. Bucky Irving is not playing in this one. So at that point, you really wonder, can the Buccaneers... I mean, we just saw what the Rams did against the Seahawks offense that has been really good this season. I don't know if the Bucs can muster up any energy in that one. It's why I said the Bears and Steelers might be a little entertaining because the Bears look like a playoff team. The other one, and we'll kind of have to wait to see what happens because it sounds like there's a question maybe Burrow could play this weekend. If he plays, Patriots and Bengals is going to be a pretty entertaining one as well.
Grant, do me a favor. Go ahead and take that music down just a little bit if you don't mind. It sounds like my mic might be a little bit low for some people. When you look at the potential upsets on the schedule this weekend, Alex, is there anything that immediately stands out to you where you're like, this is the one that I'm going to pinpoint going into this weekend?
You go first because it sounds like you have one that's pretty obvious.
Well, we do this every week, so I wasn't sure if you had one.
No. You framed it like there's one that you know is an upset.
I mentioned this yesterday during our Pick'em segment. I like the Browns to win straight up against the Raiders. Now, it may not feel like a big upset given the fact that they're both 2-8 teams.
I can't even believe that's an upset.
But based upon the Vegas odds, the Browns are a 4-point underdog on the road at Las Vegas. So I think they win this game outright. I think they're the better team here. I know Shedeur Sanders is starting. That does make me a little nervous going up against Max Crosby, but I just don't think the Raiders are a good football team right now. And I think the Browns' defense is so excellent and so overwhelming that they will be able to win this one in a close matchup that's low scoring that I want no part of in fantasy football, like 17-13.
Yeah, that's a really good one. It's not even an upset because I don't know if this line has shifted, but when I looked at it a couple of days ago, because I was thinking about doing this for one of the Pick'em, the Saints were the underdog. They were like plus 2.5. Is that
they're minus 2.5? Yeah.
Oh, they're minus 2.5.
Favorite.
Okay, so that's not the underdog play then. So I don't know if I have an underdog.
Do you like
play.
the Colts?
No, I think the Chiefs win that one.
Okay,
I think the Chiefs win that one. I guess I could see that, but I don't even know if I would consider that one an underdog play. Maybe the Giants over the Lions, but I don't know how much I believe that because Jackson Dart's not playing in this one. This feels like a week which typically is the incorrect answer, that all of the favorites pull out the victories. Maybe the Panthers over the Niners, but that's a Monday Night Football game.
Let's go through these. Let's go through individual games going into this weekend. You can help me out with my 101 ESPN Fast Lane Pick'em Challenge. We started last night. I started out with a loss. I had the Bills in that one against the Texans.
Dude, one person in my survivor pool picked the Bills.
Really?
Yeah, so it kicked one person out.
That was a tough one.
I think everyone's going to go the 49ers the rest of the way.
Let's go through these games one by one. We'll see if there are any that we want to pinpoint. The Ravens at home against the Jets. I don't see this as one that I have to spend much time thinking about. I've got the Ravens.
Yeah, especially they're even making a quarterback change. Like, they're all in flux right now. Yeah, this is the Ravens easy.
Bears at home against the Steelers. I like the Bears in this one.
Yeah, I know they're without all of their linebackers, but to me...
Makes me a little nervous there.
To me, I think their offense is what's going to win this football game for them. And it sounds like Rodgers is questionable to play. And if he's not 100% regardless if he plays or he doesn't play, I don't know how they're scoring points, Pittsburgh, even without those guys.
I actually think it might be good for them if he doesn't play.
Think so?
I know that sounds weird. I thought Mason Rudolph was better for them last week than Aaron Rodgers.
You don't have Jalen Warren, so you don't have the ability or the threat to run the football. So you're really just relying on throwing it. And even without the linebackers, I still think the Bears are going to get pressure on Pittsburgh because the offensive line isn't that good. And secondary, it sounds like Jalen Johnson could be back this week.
I like the Bears. I think they will win. But if I was a Steelers fan, I would be rooting for Rodgers to be out in this game because I think they're better right now with Mason Rudolph. Rodgers just doesn't look like the same guy that he was earlier on in the season. I think the Patriots are winning this game at Cincy. It sounds like things today have shifted. I don't believe Joe Burrow is expected to play in this game against the New England Patriots. If he was, that would at least make it more interesting to me, but I think the Patriots are just the better team even on the road.
Yeah, I think even if Joe Burrow plays, the Patriots just have proven to be the better team. I think defensively they're not going to allow as much. Jamar Chase isn't playing in this one. He's suspended for that one game, so I don't know how the Bengals put up points against that Patriots defense, so Patriots straight up.
The Giants are on the road at the Lions. We mentioned earlier today, it sounds like Sam Laporta is expected to be out for the remainder of this season. That's a big loss for the Lions. I just don't think it matters for them right now. Vegas sees it the same way. They're a 12.5-point favorite in this game. I might take the Giants plus 12.5. That's a lot of points here, but I do like the Lions to win.
The problem, and I think it's Jameis Winston this week for the Giants, so like that's at least better than Russell Wilson. If Jackson Dart's not playing for the Giants, I don't trust them to be in any football game. Maybe they keep it to 10 points, but I could see the Lions being pissed off about how these last couple of weeks have gone and putting up a lot of points.
I'm worried for J.J. McCarthy.
Oh, dude. Justin Jefferson's out here trying. He's pulling the old T.O. That's my quarterback. The
Vikings are on the road this week at the Green Bay Packers for all of the Packers' issues offensively, and there are many. The defense has still been pretty fantastic. They've got an unbelievable pass rush. The Packers are a 6-point home favorite in this game. I think they not only win, I think they cover that spread against the Minnesota Vikings this week. And I love the Packers in this game.
Yeah, I'm with you as well. I don't think the Vikings even sniff a chance. And unfortunately, I think J.J. McCarthy is going to be tasting a lot of turf in this football game.
We don't have to talk about the Seahawks-Titans game, right?
No.
Seahawks minus the 13.5. I actually kind of like the Seahawks minus that 13.5.
Yeah, it's why I made it my 2-point play this week in our pick'em because and T-Bone had it at his 3-point play because this one was an obvious one.
All right, the last noon kickoff is the Colts versus the Chiefs. Let's spend a minute on this one. I'm terrified. I really am, man. I think the Chiefs are going to be able to do a decent amount offensively. I think they will have some answers for what the Colts present on the defensive side of the ball. Lou Anarumo always has a good plan for the Chiefs, but the Chiefs typically put up 24 to 27 points against him. So even while he makes it difficult, they typically have enough answers to score the requisite amount of points. My concern level, though, is on the Chiefs' defensive side of things. I don't know what their answers are for what the Colts present. They don't have a very good pass rush. That's the one way that you can get to Daniel Jones. He's fumbled it 6 times over the last 2 weeks. He has 5 interceptions over the last 2 weeks. He's finally looking like Daniel Jones of old. But they have an excellent running game, and their running back is an explosive option out of the backfield as a pass catcher. That's a problem against the Chiefs defense. Tyler Warren is an outstanding, young, explosive tight end. Sound familiar? That's been an issue for the Chiefs defense so far this season. And their slot receiver, Michael Pittman, is a big dude. He gives people like Trent McDuffie problems. So I'm really worried about the Chiefs getting the stops that are necessary in this game. That's where I think this one could be lost. I do think it's going to be a big-time offensive game for both sides. I like the over on 49.5. I like taking a bunch of these players in any kind of a daily fantasy setting. I like taking hires on Underdog. Use the promo code BKO if you have not done so already. I love this game. It's going to be fun as hell to watch if you're not a fan of one of the two teams. But I think it's going to be super close. I like the Colts plus 3.5. I currently have the Chiefs to win, Alex. Is that me just being a homer?
No, I think the Chiefs are the more desperate team right now. And you kind of have to win. I'd argue they should have been the more desperate team last week, and they let the Broncos just run away with it. I have the Chiefs in this one as well. I think this one's a shootout, and if you're telling me you get one pick between Daniel Jones and Patrick Mahomes to make the final play for a touchdown, I'd go Patrick Mahomes. I agree with you on the sense I don't know what this defense is going to look like. They've been the biggest unknown to me all season. Sometimes they look like they've gotten it fixed. Sometimes they look like they regress back to what they were in the first couple of weeks of the season. They got a lot of weapons over in Indy, and I'm not sure how you combat that defensively where you've been vulnerable this year. But no, I don't think it's a homer. I've got the Chiefs winning this one as well, mostly because they kind of have to.
3 o'clock slate's not loaded exactly. I've got the Jaguars on the road at Arizona. Do you like the Cardinals?
No, I got the Jaguars in this one. This was one of my picks as well in our pick 'em. The Cardinals are a shell the rest of the season. Like, I think everything's lost. They don't have Marvin Harrison Jr. I know the Jaguars are without their two weapons as well. I don't know if Brian Thomas Jr. is playing, but man, the Jaguars just find ways to continue to push. And even though that this is on the road, I can see the Cardinals not being very effective in this.
Browns on the road at the Raiders. I had already mentioned I like the Browns a lot in this one.
Especially, there's no chance the Raiders put up any points.
Eagles at the Cowboys. I have the Eagles in our Pick'em Challenge. You like the same side?
Yeah, I like the same side.
Falcons at the Saints. This is one I think could ultimately swing this Pick'em Challenge this week. Do you like one side over the other?
I think I'd pick the Saints.
I think so, too.
It's a home game.
I don't feel great about it.
Right now, it's 50-50 on both sides, but with no Penix, part of me was like, oh, gosh, it's like, couldn't the Kirk Cousins train maybe put him back on track for a couple of games? But they don't have Drake London. Their defense hasn't been very good, and I know the Saints don't have much, but at least they still got guys who can score points. So I would say the Saints win this one.
I've got the Saints as well. That is one I do not have a lot of confidence in, though. It's hard for me to say that I am excited about Tyler Shuck.
Yeah, what do the Falcons have to play for anymore? Like,
what do the Saints have to play for?
Pride more than anything.
Falcons too.
They got Kirk Cousins out there.
They've got Tyler Shuck. These teams both stink.
Yeah, Tyler Shuck's trying to make a name for himself. Kirk Cousins is getting $400 million to sit on the bench. His mind's already on the offseason.
Sunday night Bucks versus the Rams. I love the Rams in this game. Do you feel differently?
Yeah, I don't think the Bucks
we have too many
put up
confident
points.
picks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. Like, I don't see underdogs having a lot of success this week.
We're too confident in these picks. And then Monday night, Carolina Panthers at the San Francisco 49ers. You like the Panthers?
Oh no, not the Panthers. I'm sorry.
I was like, really? Okay.
No, the 49ers. I this is my survivor pick, and I need the poll. Like, is everybody still on board with this?
Yeah.
There's 67 people. The one guy that went with the Bills this week was wild in that survivor pool, but everybody's got the 49ers available to them. It was either the 49ers or the Eagles that I could go with.
I like the 49ers.
They're home. It's the Panthers.
Purdy's back. They're basically healthy at this point in the season. They have all of their options that can be available to them. It doesn't sound like Brandon Ayuk's anywhere close, but
and it's a long week so that they had the rest for it. I don't know how the Panthers put up points against 49ers, even without
the 49ers offense is too good. I think the 49ers offense is one of the best in the NFC right now. They're really explosive.
Panthers have had a decent defense, though, a couple of times this year.
Yeah. I don't trust their defense to be able to get stops. And I certainly don't think their offense can get the necessary put up the necessary points.
All right. Well, that's the survivor pick. Week 12. Ferrario tries to stay alive. And let's hope other people are going. I really hope a lot of teams are going with Baltimore, feeling like that's a not Baltimore. Baltimore was last week. Which one was
Baltimore could have. I mean, they're a 5-5 team, but they're going up against the Jets.
Yeah, that's the part. The last week was the Browns. I really needed I needed the Browns to beat the Ravens last week to kick some people out.
Yeah. It's an interesting week in the NFL. A few games, basically one game per slate. Like in the noon slate, really fun to watch the Colts versus the Chiefs. Steelers versus Bears is also at least compelling. And then in the 3 o'clock slate, it's the Eagles versus the Cowboys. Should be fun.
Yeah.
I don't know how close it's going to be. I like the Eagles to cover that spread.
That might be a boring game, though, because the Cowboys can't play.
Over-under is set at 47.5.
I get that. I would take the under.
Pretty high.
I would take the under.
Yeah,
I don't think the Eagles allow the Cowboys to put up all of the points, and we know Philly can't put up points. Now, maybe they can against Dallas, but
typically the second divisional matchup is lower scoring. The first one between these two teams, 24-20 in favor of the Eagles. I think I would take the under in that game. I do like that total a decent amount. All right, coming up in 15 minutes, we're going to get into the BK and Ferrario Rewind. It's 1:32. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. You give us 4 different options. We'll tell you which one's got to go. We do this each and every Friday on BK and Ferrario. It's time for One's Got to Go on 101 ESPN.
Grit Francis here with a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues blew another 2-goal lead last night to the Philadelphia Flyers. They were up 2-0 in the second period, ended up falling in overtime by a final of 3-2. Blues will look to break their bad habits tomorrow on the island as they face the New York Islanders. It'll be a pregame at 1:30, puck drop at 2:30 here on your home for the Blues, 101 ESPN. Couple moves from the Blues today. Hunter Skinner, the rookie defenseman for the Blues, was assigned to Springfield. And Alexander Texier, who was placed on waivers yesterday by the St. Louis Blues, will report to Springfield as he clears waivers. I'm Grant Francis. The Sports Center update's been driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
This is BK and Ferrario. Time now for One's Gotta Go. We offer up the talking points, and you get to pick which one's gotta go on 101 ESPN.
Count that big pen.
All right, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for One's Gotta Go. You give us 4 different options. We'll tell you which one's gotta go here on BK and Ferrario before we get to the rewind here in just a little bit. This one comes from the 573. One's gotta go movie theater snack edition, Alex.
Oh, okay.
Popcorn, nachos, wings, or candy?
Wings. You don't do wings in a movie theater. Not only are they messy, but then I got to hear somebody do the lick all the sauce off their fingers. Absolutely not. These are boneless wings that maybe I'd get rid of nachos, but no, you get rid of wings in this one.
Are you a bone-in or a boneless
bone-in
guy?
I like to work for my meat.
I'm a bone-in guy as well. My wife prefers the boneless, so we'll go that direction.
I mean, I'll
sometimes.
eat the boneless.
Yeah.
It's not like I refuse.
It's chicken nuggets with sauce. As long as you recognize what they are.
Yeah, I know what I'm getting. I'm going for chicken and I'm going for sauce. That's what it is. But if you put the boneless or bone-in in front of me, I'm going bone-in all day.
Yeah, this feels very easy.
I'm the drummy, though, more than the wing.
Oh, really? I'm a wing guy. I like the full, though. Like, my favorite wings in Kansas City are from the peanut, and it's got the wing, like the claw, and the drum. It's got a little bit of everything on it. Those are the ones that I like.
I just
feel
really
jumbo
so
size.
weird eating the wing because you got to I don't know the proper method to go through it.
Got to get after it, man. One's got to go fall holiday edition. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line to get yours in. You give us 4 options. We'll tell you which one's got to go. This one has 3 of them.
Fall holiday.
Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. I'm going to throw New Year's Eve in here because that's a holiday
Is it
as well.
considered the fall, though? Isn't that the winter?
Well, so is Christmas.
Okay. So cool.
It's the fall ratings book, Alex.
So this person, okay, that's what we're going off of then. So Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. I'd get rid of, oh, God, I always like New Year's. I have the tradition with my wife and the girls. I think I'd probably have to get rid of, Thanksgiving probably would go. It's either Thanksgiving or New Year's. I like New Year's. I do New Year's Eve with my wife. It's fun. We sit home. We watch all the stuff that happens, the ball drop. It's always been something that we've done.
I would say New Year's Eve for me. It's the one that we do the least for.
Makes sense.
Especially now that we've got Luca. Halloween's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. Thanksgiving, the entire family gets together. Christmas, it's always been a big thing for my family. What you guys are doing for Thanksgiving this year is what we typically have done in the past, where we do a big homemade ravioli spread for everybody. So that's a big one for our family. New Year's Eve is the one that we do the least for. Whenever I was younger, we'd go out and we'd have a good night. Don't get me wrong. And we pay for the whole night experience. But now, I mean, I'm old and washed, and that's not something that appeals to me as much.
That's me too. And that's probably why New Year's Eve stays, because Thanksgiving, we go to like 3 different places, and I freaking hate it. I prefer to do it to where we stay place one day, and that's New Year's. We just don't move.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for One's Gotta Go. You give us 4 different options. We'll tell you which one's got to go. By the way, Percy over on the text line said Cugino's has the best wings in St. Louis. Do you have a spot that you go to specifically for wings?
No, I'm not a wings snob. Like, I'll eat wings everywhere. Like,
sure.
I have.
Do you have ones that stand out to you though as the best?
Not really in terms of wings. Cugino's is really good.
Obie Clark's has good ones.
Obie Clark's has really good ones. Grant and I just had those a couple of weekends ago. Or no, it was last week. God, the days run together. I'm a big Helen Fitzgerald guy too. Like, I like it, and it's the mustard wings. People don't like mustard wings as much. I kind of like those. God, there's another place too, and I'm forgetting the name of it. It's down in Kirkwood. blanking on it right now. Garvey's has some really good wings if you've ever gotten them from there. But yeah, that'd probably be my list of them.
Yeah, I've been looking. If anybody has some great spots for wings, let me know. I haven't seen any, not try it any in St. Louis yet, that are like, this is can't miss. My spot, if you're going to Kansas City at some point, the one closer to downtown, kind of off of the plaza, it's called the Peanut. They have multiple locations. The original, in my opinion, is the best because it's an absolute hole in the wall. Like you walk in and you're like, I need to wash my hands immediately. It's my favorite kind of place. They have unbelievable wings. I would recommend going there if you're in the Kansas City area.
A place called Mulligan's, too, somebody brought up. I think it's up in the Chesterfield area. Mulligan's has really good wings, too.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for One's Gotta Go. From Slinger of Cream, One's Gotta Go Seasons Edition. Spring, summer, fall, or winter. Which one's gotta go for you, Alex?
Probably spring, because I don't feel like it's there very much. It's either spring or fall, and I like the fall.
I love the fall.
I
think fall's my favorite.
Winter's probably my favorite, which seems weird, but like I get the snow with the girls, which is always fun. Summer's like you get everything out there. Spring we only get for like 2 weeks in St. Louis, and then it goes back to winter, and then it goes straight into summer. Like we don't experience spring here.
I would say winter is mine. Once you get into like late February or late January, early February, it's just miserable outside, man.
February and March. I think February is the worst month out of the year. A good buddy of mine who was a coworker when I was at KMOX, Kevin Colleen, did a package on February being the worst month of the year.
It's horrible.
It's such a funny video, but the month itself, it's terrible because you're not to spring because you know you're going to fall back to it. You're past all of the holiday season in January and December, and so now you're just stuck in this cold, dark days that
even from the sports calendar perspective, there's nothing. It's just dead.
Like you're trying to get to March.
You're in the dog days of the NHL season. I guess this year, I think that's around the time that you'll have the Olympics, so you've got that going for you. But otherwise, like the NBA calendar stinks at that point. Everybody's just wait until we get to April for the playoffs. Major League Baseball, you're not to spring training officially yet at that point in time. You don't have any college football. That's over. By the start of February, you're done with the NFL season. I mean, it's just a total dead spot.
Yeah, you get the Super Bowl for like
calendar.
1 day in February, and then it's just miserable for the rest of rest of the month.
It's brutal. All right, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service X line to get involved in the show. For Alex Ferrario, I'm Brandon Kiley. We've got Grant Francis back in the studio for us today. We're broadcasting live at the E&B Granite Studios out of the Centene Community Ice Center. Coming up next, we'll put a bow on this thing with a rewind here on 101 ESPN.
run it back with the Daily Rewind on BK and Ferrario. Brought to you by Gloria Loom, your home sold guaranteed realty. Selling your home begins at GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
A lot to get to, Alex, here in the next 10 minutes or so here on BK and Ferrario. If you guys missed anything from today's show, be sure to check it out on the podcast page. 101ESPN.com and the free 101 ESPN app is where you go to find it. It's all sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
In about 5 minutes, we'll give you a chance to score a pair of tickets to see Motley Crue with special guest Tesla Extreme. That's coming up on August 19th at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. The 101 ESPN app is sponsored by Dobbs Tire and Auto Center. Some news to pass along from the NFL. Isaiah Pacheco, Chiefs running back, was thought to potentially be back in action this weekend against the Indianapolis Colts. He has now officially been ruled out for the game against Indianapolis. Their starting left guard Kingsley Suamataia and wide receiver Xavier Worthy, both listed as questionable. Daniel Jones popped up on the injury report yesterday for the Indianapolis Colts. He is expected to play. It will not hold him out from this game against the Chiefs. So Daniel Jones, healthy and available. Sounds like Isaiah Pacheco expected to miss this one for the Kansas City Chiefs. So that's your latest update on the NFL side of things. On the college football landscape, Mizzou is expecting at this point Bo Prabula will be available for them tomorrow, and he is expected to start, if available, against Oklahoma on the road. The Tigers are now a 6.5-point underdog against OU. Alex, we'll start there before we get to the blue side of things. How are you feeling about this game for Mizzou going on the road at Norman?
Better, but not good. It's an obvious upgrade to get Bo Prabula back over Matt Zollers, but let's not get too overly excited about this because, in my opinion, I don't think Prabula is going to be 100%. You can't be coming back from this injury, which maybe means he's not as mobile for you, which means he's not going into those dog piles as much as we've seen before, which means you're still relying on that arm, which I'm just not as sold on. It's better in terms of his ability to read plays and make quick decisions than what Matt Zollers is. But to me, this game is still going to come down to, can your quarterback make the throws and can your defense keep it close? And one of those things I trust. Your defense has shown the ability to keep games close. I just don't know with Bo Prabula.
Drinkwitz 0-9 in the regular season as Missouri's head coach against opponents ranked in the top 10. Mizzou 1-38 in their last 39 regular season opportunities in road games against top 10 ranked opponents. By the way, the last time that Mizzou won down in Norman was 1966. So a lot of history working against Mizzou in this one. They're hoping to earn that signature victory that has been so elusive for Eli Drinkwitz. That game will be tomorrow at 11 a.m. on ABC against Oklahoma. On the hockey side of things, the Blues lose last night. Once again, it seems like they just can't get over this hump, Alex. They have earned a point in 7 of their last 9 games, but they can't seem to find a way to win, especially once these games get to overtime. What was the story of the night last night, in your opinion?
I mean, the story for me was, once again, your best players not showing up for the full 60 minutes because Robert Thomas only had 1 shot on goal. And I know he did the job of shutting down the opposition, but once again, you just couldn't break through in the offensive side. It just continues to plague this team where they can't find the back of the net consistently. And then on top of that, they just keep making plays that hurt them. I think one side of this was just the killing off the opponent factor that the Blues have lacked all season long. And then the other one, I think, is pretty apparent. This team is really struggling with their third pair. They can't play them for more than 10 or 11 minutes. And when they're out there, they're typically on the ice against goals for the opposition. So the intrusive thoughts just stay there. I know we talked about it with Mike McKenna. You just continue to ask, maybe this is just a season where it's lost and this team's just not good enough right now.
Blues back in action this weekend, though, so they'll hope to get back on the right side of things.
A tough team, too. The Islanders have been one of the hotter teams right now. They got one of the best players in the game in terms of Matthew Schaefer. They've won 7 of their last 10.
They keep earning points. They keep losing in overtime. So we'll see if they can right the ship tomorrow against the New York Islanders. That's a 2:30 puck drop, so it's an early one, a matinee start. Basically goes straight from Mizzou versus Oklahoma into Blues versus the Islanders. You'll be able to hear that game right here on 101 ESPN. Of course, Alex will have your pregame coverage starting tomorrow at 1:30.
Yeah, 1:30. All right, here on 101 ESPN.
ESPN. On the college football side of things, we're expecting some kind of an update on the Lane Kiffin sweepstakes today. He reportedly had a meeting this morning with the athletic director at Ole Miss. There was some kind of a plane that went from Baton Rouge to Columbia today.
Good.
We don't know exactly what that was or why it was there. It was in Columbia for about 20 minutes. They landed. It sounds like they maybe picked somebody up and then left. We don't know who that person was, what they were doing there, but it's not Eli Drinkwitz. So Eli's not going down to LSU. He's on the plane with the team going to Oklahoma this weekend. They left this afternoon from the Columbia airport as well. So
well, maybe Drink's meeting them in Norman.
We'll see what all of this is about. Hopefully there's some kind of an update on the Mizzou side of things sooner rather than later. Alex, right now, we've got to give away some tickets.
Let's do it.
We're going to do so for Motley Crue. They're coming to St. Louis on August the 19th at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater, just down the street from where we are right now. Tickets for Motley Crue, they go on sale. Well, they went on sale today at 9 a.m. If you didn't get them, right now is your chance to win free tickets on BK and Ferrario. You can get all of the details at 101ESPN.com, or you can text in 314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line if you are texter number 101. And you have the correct answer to the following question. You are going home with that pair of tickets to see Motley Crue next year. Here is your question. Earlier today, we talked about something that fell from the sky into a car. What was it that fell from the sky? If you have the correct answer, your texter number 101, you are going home with that pair of tickets to see Motley Crue. Alex, do you think that the Blues win tomorrow?
No, I don't.
Okay.
God, I hate saying that so much, but right now, man, they feel like they lack that ability to win against a good opponent. And with this Islanders team, I mean, they're going to have to deal with not only a team that goes to the front of the net hard, but Matthew Schaefer is playing like Cale Makar. On top of that, you're probably going to be seeing Ilya Sorokin, who's a really good defenseman or a really good goaltender. So I think it's going to be low scoring, but no, I think the Blues don't win, but maybe they pick up a point and get to overtime again.
Fingers crossed that they're able to get themselves on track. Maybe we'll have something positive to talk about on Monday.
Hopefully.
Regardless, we'll talk to Craig Button, who's one of the best NHL analysts that you can have on the show. We'll have him on Monday. T-Bone will be back in with us. Great job by Grant Francis for us today back in the studio. For Alex Ferrario, I'm Brandon Kiley. Have yourself a fantastic weekend. We'll talk to you guys on Monday at 11 a.m. The Fast Lane's coming up next year on 101 ESPN.